Here we go. Are live and direct. All right. Okie dokie. Why can I still check? Oh, it's on here. There we go. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Check. Oh, there we go. Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up?
What's happening? We're
Not
back.
much, just flipping through sound.
Flipping through sound. That is fun. What kind of sounds are you flipping through right now? Drum sounds?
Just like, all the sample packs that I told you that I have.
Oh
And
yeah.
I just have like I bought a few new ones. Um and I've had some that I just haven't had the chance to go through yet. So I'm
Yeah.
just listening to them. Not like sometimes I don't do it because then I feel like I get this creative spark and it's like, now I gotta make a track or now I gotta do something with it. So I'm just casually not gonna do anything with it right now, just checking them out.
Yeah, just kind of researching preliminary stuff.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. I do that often. Try to find what's in the pack so I know where to go if I want to organize or if I want to use it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. I have some packs here that I've, like, collected. Like, for example, I don't know, you've been around for a long time, and there's, like, this pack, it's, like, the Blue Marten Jungle from 1989 to 1999. It's, like, an older free pack that they released,
Yeah,
and like, I've never even gone through it. I had it, I've known that I had it, but I've never even, like, gone through and listened to what's in there, so just checking that out.
that's cool. That's cool. You're kind of like researching some history at this point.
Yeah, because, like, I've found when you start going through a lot of those old packs, you're gonna hear stuff from, like, some of your favorite tunes from that back then, like, a lot,
Oh yeah,
you know?
100%. People don't realize that. I mean, all the music you love came from instrumentation that you have access to most of the time.
Right.
Much of the time,
Yeah,
anyway.
because Right, yeah, because like, a lot of times, like, especially back then, because you didn't really have as many VSTs, and, I mean, you did, but they weren't good, so a lot of people were really sample based and just relying on samplers and then outboard, uh, presets and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so the scope of how many sounds were kind of available back then was a lot smaller than it is now.
100%. And honestly, that's why I really loved the whole virtual self project whenever it came out. And all of that music, that kind of like neo trance, that like new old, you know?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's so authentic to the sound that existed in like, early 2000s and whatnot. And I love it. I just love that like authenticity of going back to that style because I mean, it's more or less same technology ish. Like we still have access to all of that same stuff and it's just kind of a lost genre of sorts. That style at least. He kind of revived it. It's also why I like
yeah,
Chemical Brothers and The
yep,
Prodigy and Crystal Method and things like that because I'm a big fan of breakbeats and like big beat specifically.
me
And
too.
Columbo is an artist that I really like because of that. Like
Okay.
Columbo, I think it's a South or a Central American artist. I don't know what specific region, but really really cool. Maybe Mexico, but I'm not 100% sure. But Columbo is awesome. Like makes some really cool breaks. I mean, breaks never really died, and neither did trance, but that certain flavor of it is what I really like.
Yeah. I feel like breaks are because here in Michigan, we actually have one of the like little crews is like really big, kind of like Florida breaks crews. They're always bringing like DJ Icy and
Oh yeah, I love that guys.
um I can't Stanton Warriors and
Oh
like
yeah,
people like
Stanton
that.
Warriors were great.
Yeah, and I feel like that is actually the lowest at the lowest point, like those kind of breaks, like that 130 BPMs type stuff is
Yeah.
like, but I will say it's been promising because as like with from my DJ roots, I listen to a ton of new music every week, and I've starting to hear just within the last 2 weeks a bunch of new tracks came out, and they all kind of have that like future garage kind of like breakbeaty type sound, like somebody it's funny, you hear all these micro trends that like it's like certain producers that are buddies with each other all do like the same type of song,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really become like a full-fledged like genre, but
Right.
it's just cool to hear that. So I have noticed that there has been a bit of a comeback, but like most of these breaks artists that we were bringing here in Michigan, like back in 2013, 2014,
Hmm.
I haven't really like heard anything from them.
Yeah. That's really cool. I mean, it shows that that diversity's still alive. I mean, like
Right.
people are still making it, which is good. Um, what is your like if you could put it to a genre or two or an artist or two that you really want like that you really like and you kind of shoot for with your own productions, what style do you lean towards most of the time?
Okay, so my this it's complicated. I can't just tell you one, but I can try to like condense it down. So
Yep.
my influences are hardcore rap and like southern rap, like Memphis rap, like 3 6 Mafia, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like that's where I draw my beats from,
Mhm.
or kind of like my beat making type of stuff, like what I like. And also like the Lil Jon era, like
Oh
that kind
yeah.
of club music. Cause I mean, I was a bouncer in a club for 10 years. So like I'm listening to that stuff constantly. And a lot of these younger kids, like, I feel like some of that's like a forgotten era of music because a lot of these
Yeah.
younger kids weren't out in the bars at that time period. So if you're kinda not if you don't experience it and it's like ideal element, then you kinda don't really know. So
Yeah.
that's what I draw from, one of my main influences in terms of like music that I like for my own stuff. Again, when I start making music, the easiest thing for me to do is make like a hip hop beat, like a trap beat, like that kind of stuff. That it
Yeah.
just comes really natural to me. Uh, the tracks that I'm gonna have you listen to when the time comes are both kind of like that. But like I'm super invested into kind of the whole um dark, like I like darker and more moody kind of music,
Mhm.
So that's like kind of where I drift towards.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes I'm into like really techie drum and bass, like some of the newer like futuristic drum and bass, and then like the real dark minimal type stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I'm into, like, Anjuna beats, like, chill house, like, melodic techno, but, like, down tempo type stuff,
Yeah.
and then, um, I'm trying to think of what else I would have to go through, but, like, those are, like, really the 2 things that I've been going back and forth with, and then that and then hip hop,
Yeah.
and, like, I've I will tell you that, I'm 36, and at 36 years old, I have completely outgrown like bro step type dubstep stuff. I used to love that. I used to DJ it, and it's just not my thing anymore at all.
That's understandable, and I don't think you're alone in that because it's fatiguing at times. Like
Yeah,
you're not gonna put on a raging dubstep tune to chill to at your house, you know? It's an environmental experience half of the time. So that makes sense. I mean, some people do listen to that like music kind of music casually and really aggressive shit casually. Totally fine, because I've been that person.
right.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it makes sense at some level where people like you can only hear the same sort of timbres and the same sort of lockstep 70 BPM drum sounds for so many times before it kind of becomes like, okay, now I want something a little different. And so we zig and we zag and we go between crazy shit and then we like chill stuff. And I think that makes a lot of sense that you're
Yeah.
kind of, a little
I
over it.
feel really I feel like I felt a lot of kinda similar I felt a lot of, like kinda it was like my calling with that documentary, like, Why All My Friends Hate Skrillex or whatever it was,
Yeah.
because I've always been really into, like, the UK stuff, like, even drum and bass and, like, stuff from over the pond, and then when I was doing shows, it was always like, I wanna bring those guys over here, and it was, like, freaking impossible to do it, unless they were on a tour, and then trying to just make that kinda stuff kinda match up with everything was always hard, and I don't know, it's like with every genre, I used to be really into, like, Halftime, and, like, the Halftime and, like, the space bass type stuff, and because the people who started that I mean, I'm not saying who started it, but when it really blew up was when Noisia released that um
Outer
Outer
edges.
Lim yeah,
Oh,
Outer Edges,
yeah.
and that's when all those big drum and bass guys started doing all the halftime music, and then that was they were when once they were over that trend, then, like, all these younger producers were emulating them, and then
Yeah.
as a DJ who's sorting through thousands of tracks, you just, like I can't listen to that stuff like, got too wonky and too, predictable and just, like, it just changed, like, and my taste changed for that too. Like, I used to play that all the time for a while too, and I don't know, it's like, for me personally, I find that my music gravitates more towards, like it's like spacious yet melodic and kinda dark, like, that's kinda where it sits usually.
Sure. Like, so when I was in school, they had us do, when I was in like school for, I had took some music business classes as part of the like the audio production degree, and part of that was, they make you come up with your elevator pitch, and I thought that was always, at the time I didn't really understand it, but now I'm much more understanding of why they
"Up,
had us do that.
Thomas?"
What up, Thomas? Thomas Xavier in the house.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
anyways,
that's
they made us do that elevator pitch, and it's so important to be able to just you've got 30 seconds to describe
right,
your sound to somebody who's
and I
and
can't.
sell it. But you have to. And that's the kind of
Right.
interesting thing. You don't have to, but I mean like you really ought to consider what you would say in that scenario because it's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, do
absolutely.
you like X, Y, and Z? Cool. I make music like all three of those combined." That's kind of what you
Right.
should boil it down to. Um,
Okay.
it's really helpful. You could be like, for you, you've just kind of said it all. You've said like, uh, you know, take 3 6 Mafia, mix it with something like and then throw out your other genres.
Right. Yeah, like, I was going through some of my older projects and, like, nothing's done. It's like skeleton projects all over, but I was going through a lot of them, and there's just a lot of that kind of influence that's kinda in there.
Yeah,
Um, like, that's why, like, when the Suicide Boys came out, I like, I could care less about their rapping at all. I just like the beats because it reminds me of,
yeah.
like, old 3 6 Mafia beats? So, like, you could just give me those instrumentals, and that's good enough for me?
I totally understand that. I remember, like high school and after high school, riding around the lakes around here in Tennessee. Like where I'm from, there's two pretty large lakes like right beside each other, and
Okay.
the town I was from like is right in between both. So we would after high school just ride around bumping 3 6 Mafia and Project
Same here.
Pat and all that sort of stuff, and just
Yep.
just hanging out, and that was always a lot of fun. And that's actually, I remember the first time I ever understood what bass was, and I think it was my buddy who got me into all of that sort of stuff, who got me into production and a bunch of other stuff too. Um, my buddy, I asked him one day, I was like, "What's bass?" Because he was talking about bass, and he was like, he's like, "Oh, the bass line sucks" or whatever to my song, and I was like, "What do you mean by that? Like, what is bass? Like, I don't get that." And
Right.
that's such a funny, just such a funny thing now looking back on it. He just like mutes the sub. He goes, "Did you feel that?" I was like, "Yeah, where'd it go?" He's like, "That was the bass." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
it."
So that whole thing for me was a major roadblock because I've always had like sound systems ever since I had a car. I was really into sound systems and doing like
Yeah,
dB drags and stuff. So I'm used to like being in a car with 150 decibels at, 35 hertz or whatever. And
yeah,
so when I started producing the first couple songs I made, I had, like, Mackie 8-inch, 824s,
yeah,
and to have the bass where I thought it should be, it was way too much because I was so used to having, like, bass augmented music with big sound systems like that,
yeah,
that it's been really hard for me to kinda to pull my low end back and let everything else breathe because to me it doesn't when it sounds how it should be it doesn't sound right on like studio monitors.
yeah.
What's up, trauma?
How's it going, guys?
What's happening?
Pretty good.
Just hanging out. Saw y'all were laughing.
Yeah, glad you joined us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I really, Seth's not able to make it today. He's got some stuff he's having to do, um, but I'm really wanting these things to be everybody to invite people and kind of get a large conversation going because this, you know, we it's all about the community at this point. We gotta connect with each other and try to grow the shared knowledge sphere. There's so much
Yeah,
information, and the only way to get familiar with half of it even is just to like bounce ideas off of each other and kind of go from there.
definitely. Yeah, I've wanted to kind of proactively do a lot more inside of this Discord, like
Yeah,
posting more and stuff, but like
it gets
and maybe
tricky.
that's just it's tricky and maybe it's just me, but I don't wanna come off as, like, try hard or like I'm trying to hijack the conversation or anything like that because, like, I know a lot, but I wanna sit back and listen because like, you can learn a lot from listening to people even if you know a lot. So,
Yeah,
like, I could be in here, like, sharing all kinds of stuff but I don't wanna do that. I wanna be a part of other people doing that. I don't wanna be, like, the only one doing that. So
100%. Well,
where
I
I'm
mean, you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now. Like, the more you feel like doing, the more welcome you are to do it because we want this place to be a place for everybody. And if you feel like, you know, fuck what people think of you. If you want to do it, man, do it because we would love that. We want your
yeah,
engagement. And that's why we made the stew kind of like this whole thing. And honestly, look at what's happened with it too. Like, people have made a lot of different channels in there,
right,
and like now there's an acoustics channel, a fur children channel. That's a great one.
right.
If anybody's watching
Yeah,
this on
that's good.
YouTube after
It's
the
definitely
fact,
developed.
definitely bring yourself out to the Discord. You got to join the Discord and get involved. You can make channels and ask questions and have a community behind you to answer those questions. What's up, Trauma Ward?
Yo, what
Uh,
up?
man, I'm sorry. Hang on. Thomas Xavier says Tipper messed up his hearing. Yeah, that's probably true. I think I've heard that
Yeah.
before because of I remember reading the interviews about him and being like impressed because he was one of the first people to he had like a 1970 Dodge Challenger, which is like my car, and
Oh, yeah.
that's one of my favorite cars, and he was out there bumping crazy sound systems in it, um, and would have like pop up parties, which is awesome. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he messed up his hearing. I'd be surprised if a lot of people don't have some kind of hearing damage, like a lot of touring musicians. I know a lot of them when I worked at the clubs. They, as the sound guy, they would a lot of the performers never wore earplugs, like never, ever,
No.
ever. I was the sound guy, and I was like on stage, like deafened practically. Like I couldn't stand being up there without earplugs. It was too much. And I remember a DJ who shall remain nameless was performing and just kept cranking it, just kept cranking and cranking and cranking and cranking the levels. I kept pulling them back because they were just getting into the limiters, and I was like, it's not even sounding good. Like,
It's always fun.
It makes
yeah,
him feel better though. So
I guess so. I actually had to. It was funny. But anyway, the point of me saying that was, uh, they're just turning it up and up and up, and then eventually it got to this point where, because they had free control over their booth monitor, and I had
Yeah.
turned the mains down like so much because their booth monitors were louder than the mains. Like we had stacks. Like we had a small sub and a small PA monitor on each side, and not even joking, it was kind of small club, and the booth was louder than the mains, and I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I had to get the tour manager. I was like, hey, go tell him not to do that, and we
I
can readjust.
I've definitely had that experience. Like I probably run sound with my rig or on some other rigs for I don't know, maybe like 200, 250 shows with national headliners, but
Yeah,
nobody huge, just like bass music people and stuff
I
and
mean, in a
house
relative
artists.
sense, that's pretty huge.
Yeah. So I do have some best practices that I found for that. And I
Yeah.
actually helped Caspo was touring with this guy named Kit Hall. I think his name's Kit Hall. He worked for PK Sound and Caspo was touring with like a PK rig and um they used my stage monitors, and what I would do is I would turn everything down
Hmm.
so that at max level, um, it was just below peaking out the speakers, so they could crank the output of the monitors all they wanted, and, my monitors would be gained down, and then like, the biggest, awesomest piece of gear for dealing with, like, open deck nights and stuff like that is it's an outboard limiter, it's called the Apex Dominator,
Yeah.
and you just throw that on there and it just brick walls everything. And it like at the end of the day, if they're gonna crank your stuff up, um, there there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you can argue with people, you can have drama with them, but like I would have the Apex Dominator on there, and it has this ability to like turn stuff down without sausaging it out and just like it's almost like the soft clipper
Hmm.
in Ableton. And I just like I knew every sound guy that I knew in Michigan here had one, and that was literally what we used to keep our speakers from blowing up for like events like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, the That's kind of funny, honestly, because yeah, at some level, you have the ability to actually set up certain compressor, like you know how compression curves kind of work. It's like an input to
Right.
output graph, so you can actually have a circuit designed so that it literally starts to reverse. It's like as you
Yeah.
turn up louder, it just goes back down. But
Yeah. Yeah. And
um,
the Dominator was multi-band too.
yeah,
So I would always leave the bass alone and kind of more tailor like the high end a little bit.
yeah,
And just like stuff like that. Like there's a lot of sound guy tricks that you can do to like keep because at the end of the day, you're trying to keep the music going no matter what and not and like mitigate all the problems. That's all being a sound guy is like
right,
mitigating problems as they come.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's that's kind of what it is. I actually heard and got in an argument with somebody once uh, about like the ethical standard of like Texas headphones, like where they say,
Yeah, I was gonna say the Texas headphones.
yeah,
That's
I I
exactly
I got really mad with somebody online once about them saying that they did that, and I was like, "You are not supposed to be doing that. Like that is just it's like there are other ways around the problem than deafening people." Um,
yeah.
I was like, "That's just cruel." So,
Yeah, I never was a big fan of that. I just would try to idiot proof it so
yeah,
that,
actually,
they're getting it
props
and
props to Terminal West in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't even actually know if that club is still there. Maybe it is, but Terminal West on their DJ mixer had two. Either it was Terminal West or it was Basement East in Nashville. I can't remember which, but it's kind of cool because it's like East and West. But one of those locations, perhaps both, had glowing high vis tape with arrows pointed to the level meters on the DJ mixer, and it said, "Do not
that's
go
cool.
past this point." And that was just pretty standard. Everybody was like, "Turn up to that point and stay there." That's literally as long as they did that, everything sounded awesome. And everybody who performed there got told at the very beginning, like, "You see that? Follow that." And nothing will like if you go above that too far, we will turn you down. That's just how it is. Like it's gonna
Right.
compromise quality. So, um,
Well, on those mixers, like on like the DJM, you don't really have to worry about like the individual channel kind of
no,
going into the red. It's all the master channel.
that's what it
And
was.
then
Yeah,
when the DJM 900 Nexus 2 came out, you have to go into the options, but you get a 6 dB pad on the master output.
oh,
So
great.
yeah, like I don't even worry about redlining on that anymore unless it's like crazy like solid red, but if it's just tickling it a little bit,
Oh
like
yeah,
it's not I haven't found any real like I never did a test on it, but I never really heard any distortion or anything like that. But
yeah,
I find if you set it healthy, there's actually a little not a tick at maybe like 80%. And if you just set it right there, so like when the DJs come up, they can see that there's a really healthy level.
yeah,
And then if you tell them look, I'm reserving headroom for you for your set. Like the openers get so much, and then like I would reserve 6 to 8 dBs of headroom throughout the night, and the headliner gets unity gain, and everybody else gets progressively louder. And if
yeah.
you let them know in advance, like I found people were pretty good about not touching that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and a lot of the time too, like I think the Terminal West thing worked so well because it was just the gain staging. It's like you don't have to worry about the anything clipping out of the DJ mixer because even those DJ mixers, like you can push them super hard and they still sound
Yeah,
pretty darn good. Um, that's like part of it too. They just sound really good pushed, but um, like their analog outputs actually sound pretty nice.
they do.
Yeah, it was just like the amps. I was at a venue in Nashville once where we I think we had Barely Alive was DJing and Ill Gates was also DJing. And I was hanging out with Dylan in the green room and I started hearing I think Barely Alive was on or something like that. Maybe it may have been two separate nights, I'm not sure. But at one point, the the system just couldn't handle all the low end. The amplifiers just weren't up to par with that level of sound. So you could hear the bass just completely cut out as the amplifiers
Oh
were like
man,
getting pulled too hard. It was a good times. Good times. I miss shows. I'm really
so do I.
I am eager for some shows, and I never thought I would say that
I'm
because
back.
I was always antisocial about them, but
Yeah, I definitely miss them.
I miss them
Like,
too.
the last show I did was an Ill Gates show,
Oh
actually,
yeah.
back June of 2019. I did, and I think I told you about it. It was here in Kalamazoo, and he came and he was the headliner, and then there was a side stage, and I did sound for the side stage, and my sound was like what he should have been playing on inside,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt really bad because he was playing on whatever the bar system they had set up, and it just
Yeah.
wasn't that great. And it's like, man, you need to come out here and bump this thing, Dylan.
Yeah.
I'm back.
You're back.
Hey, hey.
Did you go? Did you leave? I didn't see you
Oh,
leave.
I typed in the chat like, "Oh, I'll be right back, guys." I think
Oh, I'm so,
you were trying to ask me a question.
oh yeah, yeah. 2 seconds, yeah. Yeah. I was going to. I think I mixed up. Honestly, I don't know if I was going to ask you something or not. I can't remember at this point, but I feel like I may have looked at your name and looked at Thomas Xavier's name and saw the T and started to ask you but I was looking at his comment.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it was the tipper deal. But either way, glad you're back.
Yo. Oh, but Mr. Event Horizon. Every time you talk, I like learn something new.
Totally.
Like, so I don't like think you're like being a know-it-all.
I
But
know,
like
but
because it helps expand like something that I don't know about.
I just have like I guess I feel like I have a lot of experience from like the other side of things, like booking people and doing shows and live sound. And
Totally.
I feel like I've always struggled with this side of it, but the other side came naturally. Like I think tomorrow I'm about to buy a set of CDJ 3000s because
Ooh.
it looks like stuff's about to chill out. We may have one more like spike or whatever, but I think there's going to be some events coming up, and I'm gonna due to have my second vaccination. And like at the end of the day, there's money to be made here in Michigan. And if I don't like if I can do it safely, and if they're like outdoor events and stuff like that in the summertime,
Mm.
if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it.
Very true.
Like if like CDJs are expensive, but if you get a set of CDJs, you can pay them, they'll pay themselves off in less than a year if if you're smart about it. And if
Yeah.
you're in an area where there's a lot of like homegrown type stuff or like kind of like renegade shows, and if not a lot of people have access to that gear,
Yeah.
then it can be very beneficial. Like I'm not saying that that's how people should do it, but if you show up to a open decks night to like a fledgling booking kind of like producer group, like whatever, with a set of brand new decks, chances
Nice.
are that's gonna like get you an in to get some bookings and some stage time where
True
it's
that.
like you kind of offer like that's your offering to the group, like, hey, we can use my gear, but give me a time slot. And that's all like a tried and true. It kind of sucks that way because then it's not always like the most deserving or talented people there, but that's the way the industry is.
Yeah. But that's good advice overall, though. I mean, like you're becoming a part of the community at that point, right?
Right.
You are. It's literally interdependence at that point.
Yeah,
Interdependence
and
is
you're
always the optimal.
contributing.
Yeah.
Where
As
was the
opposed to just, hey, I don't have anything, but let me show up and basically do exactly what 50 other people in this room can do. And maybe I can do it better, but maybe not. It's like it's good to show up to any new thing that you're getting into if you want to learn, and to try to figure out what you have to contribute and contribute it. And that's like a really good way to get into a community.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And Trauma, you were asking something. What happened?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Clint, where was it that you found yourself getting confidence? Like and people
Um,
putting their trust into you.
now that's two different things. So getting
Let's just do
conf
the getting confidence one.
well, I think overall, I've never had that much confidence, but I've never been unconfident either. I've just kind of been, how it ebbs and flows. Some days I feel really good about what I know and my abilities, and then other days I'm just so out of it. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, is anybody in their right mind, like, by trusting me to do this? That kind of stuff. Like, it definitely oscillates some days. But overall, it's been an upward trend, and like, I just think that, um, I think that confidence can always come from understanding. Like, if you are very aware of the situation, regardless of what the situation is, you're going to feel confident going into it. And if you've had, and also like exposure can give you confidence. So, like, the first time I ever looked at Ableton, holy crap, I was so intimidated. Like, I was confused. And like a Reason, for example, because I was in Reason first and then I went into Ableton later. I was so confused when I looked at Reason for the first time, too. I was like, I am never going to understand any of this. And then, I got really familiar with that because of just exposure and experience. And then moving into Ableton, same exact thing. All that confidence I just built up instantly drained when I looked at Ableton. I was like, I can't make sense of any of this. And then, of course, exposure led me to feeling confident in it. So I think that um, it really comes down to how much exposure that I had, in any given scenario. And then if I hadn't, it's like, for example, I got exposure performing by just DJing little no account shows and like little parties and stuff like that that at the time like felt huge, but looking back on it, they were nothing. But what they did do is they were something because they helped boost my experience in that scenario of being in front of people, being the person behind the controls, and like and that I don't really have a set point. I would just say that it definitely waxes and wanes, and it has been building up over time. And I'm still not the most confident in some things. I'm really not. And uh, I try to be real honest with myself about what I am good at and what I'm not good at, and that like I will readily admit that I suck at certain things, and but I do think I am fairly knowledgeable in others. And so it's like, just knowing the difference is enough to give me enough confidence to know what I could handle and what I couldn't handle. And then the other part where people started trusting me is it when I started just kind of showing what I knew, and that I was competent. Competency is confidence much of the time. Um, Believing in yourself is confidence. So like, and that cut for me comes from understanding. So if I understand something, I'm gonna feel pretty comfortable, in that scenario using it. Um, compression is a really great example. I don't feel scared of compression anymore because I feel like I understand what it's doing now more so than I did a long time ago. Now I'm not scared to reach for a compressor, right? So I hope that answers the question.
No, it does. Because it's like after I could like turn around and teach the subject just like on a surface level,
That's
uh
another good point, actually.
that was what helped me.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is actually something that helps my understanding more than anything is teaching other people. It's why I am often conflicted about when I see people giving bad information on the internet because on the one hand, I'm like, "Ugh, don't be spreading lies. Like, don't be spreading falsehoods like this. This is not helpful." But then on the other hand, it's like those people that are telling those things are trying to help somebody and are also trying to help themselves understand the situation better, even if they don't recognize it. Like, if you're teaching somebody and if you're good at teaching somebody, or just taking any kind of concept and relating it visually and like with visual imagery to somebody else, that will help your understanding in exponentially. Like, because
Absolutely.
you have to fully understand. Like teaching audio, no, excuse me, teaching audio fundamentals was like one of the hardest things I'd ever done, even though I'd been in audio for more than 10 years. I was like, oh wow, uh, okay, what is sound? How am I going to explain this? Like, it really forces you to organize what you know and then make that explain like I'm five dummy proof so that anybody can appreciate it and like grasp it. So yeah, yeah. I think
I think
yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think that nowadays too, and it can get kind of snarky, but when you do have somebody who's doing that, I think it's prerequisite. Like you're required to go to the comment section, and if there's comments, like usually you're gonna
You are
find
yeah.
people giving opposing viewpoints, and yeah, sometimes it can get kind of nasty, but um, I I feel like sometimes people put ideas out there like that, and the comment section is gonna help them grow because, there's not always people say, "Why don't you just Google it?" And I will tell you, dealing with this networking issue that I have a bunch of stupid little questions that I cannot find the answers to that I could easily ask some expert in the field, and they could explain it to me
Pretty quickly, right?
explain it like you're 5, like
Yeah.
I'm 5, that's what I need.
That's so much better sometimes, and that's
Yeah,
honestly, I do that with my friends and my roommates all the time because I genuinely want the interaction. I want like
yep,
pictures are worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000 pictures. I mean, they are 1,000 pictures, and all of that is like just interaction. Like that's why I prefer talking to people over texting much of the time. It comes back to why Elon Musk is developing Neuralink, because it has to do with bandwidth. And
right,
when you Google something, that's why I go to YouTube before I go to Google sometimes, because it has to do with bandwidth. Um, it's like the amount of information that you can get dumped on you by a human just telling you what's up is sometimes so much more efficient than having to scrub through articles and then weed through multiple headlines and try to like come to these conclusions. Sometimes if it's a specific issue, you need somebody, and you would benefit most from somebody just being like, did this happen? Is it doing that?
right,
Oh, then it's probably this. And then just, it's so much faster. It just has to do with the
it is.
bandwidth of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I don't mind being that person either, and, I've
Right.
contributed a lot to, the Facebook Ableton users group and,
Yeah.
some of those groups I don't contribute to so much because it's some of them are very gatekeepy and people will kind of come at you in a certain way and like I've definitely thrown it you have in mastering engineers worldwide and you'll have people talking about what's the best limiter and stuff like that and it's like sometimes I'll
Yeah.
go in there and I'll be like, "Hey, why don't you load your stems into Ableton and try soft clipping?"
They don't like that.
I know they don't like that, but then I tell them and my disclaimer on that is um if you think that that's not what's going on with a lot and it's not with every genre, just, take a track and load it bounce it from Spotify and load it into your DAW, or
Yeah,
bounce,
it's
a
going to
master,
be
and
clipped.
that's what's happening, Seth made that very he really, nailed that, he put that out for us, "Here, check this out, all these tracks are above true peak. They're
Yeah.
above 0 dB true peak," and it's like, "Oh." And so for me, who's been slamming my tracks into a limiter with true peak on for the past 5 years and then being like, "Damn, why can't I get my drums even in this sketch, why can't I get my drums as punchy and just out there and just loud as, somebody like Virtual Riot or somebody like that,
Right.
Noisia?" And it's like, well, it's a simple solution. The
Sometimes it
mastering
is.
engineers
Yeah.
yeah, the mastering engineers worldwide forum, they want you to believe that you need to buy some $10,000 converter and 50 pieces of outboard analog gear and all this stuff, and it's that's a lot of, um, people that already spent the money trying to justify their purchases, when in
Sometimes, and
reality
and also you got to keep in mind too, it's a matter of threshold. I think
yeah,
it's like a threshold of fidelity that some people just cannot let go of, and that's fine because I
yep.
actually want those people around. Like Bobcats probably can hear things that I think are completely irrelevant. Not really, but
I think Bob is
example,
yeah, yeah,
threshold of fidelity.
I like Bob's contribution in there because he doesn't come off as snarky like that. He comes off as, very knowledgeable. There's just some people who,
Yeah,
I don't know, and
you'll
I
have
just don't.
purists.
Right.
There's purists everywhere, and the reality is that even though that's the case, that's fine. That in fact, there's like an entire industries driven towards that, and they pioneer that. They push that whole movement forward, and
Yeah.
That's cool. Um, yeah, I mean, with the whole analog and digital thing too, that's another thing that I'm so lucky that I've gotten over as far as any kind of biases. Like I like both of them. They're great. Both are great. I want both. I want all of both. So, I have no preference at this point because I think I am aware that digital can do everything that analog can do.
Right.
Analog cannot do everything that digital can do, but that's okay. It's like there are still are differences. Like no matter what, if you buy a 1176 compressor hardware unit, it won't matter about software updates. It doesn't matter what DAW you
Right.
use. It will always work.
Yeah, you only have one of them.
Yeah, and you
That's
got
the
one of them.
trade-off.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like this huge balancing act and whatnot. But overall, yeah, like that's why actually I was really happy about audio stuffs because that whole Facebook group was created with the intention of it being an open place for genuine information where people could get real info that you really couldn't get elsewhere. Like
Yeah.
for that kind of stuff, that kind of like snarky or whatever. Like just like one of my and Seth's like pet peeves was that um when you like actually there's a meme of it somewhere. I should probably find it. Uh a meme of something similar but not exact. The meme was um it's like somebody drowning in the ocean and they're like the caption was like help me, can you guys help me mix my snare or something like that, and then like instead of helping somebody you just see somebody give them a high five and go use your ears bro. you know so
Right.
and then but the equivalent of that in terms of like internet comments are when you ask a question and you say how do I how do I use I'm trying to think of a good one here. How do I do sidechain compression with FabFilter compressors? And then you're going to get somebody inevitably in every thread, and you know this person in every thread that you've ever read. There's one person that's going to try to be snarky, and they're going to say, well, "Why don't you just do this?" It's like that's not what I'm
Right.
asking. I want to know how to do this with this plugin. Never mind why. Just how do I do that? You don't have to sell me on a better method. Like actually, like why don't you just do this instead? Well, because I don't want to, and that's not what I'm trying to do. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that, but that's the internet for you, and there's always going to be
It
people.
is.
Actually, do you? There's a I can't remember the phrase, but it was something like um somebody wrote once, I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was like Murphy, did you know that Murphy's law is the law that states that if you post the wrong information on the internet, you will always get the right answer given to you in the comments. And somebody's like, well, actually, that's not Murphy's law. That's actually something else. And it's like a screenshot of that conversation. It's like, well, thank you for proving my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like there's some law that says if you put out the wrong information, the right information usually comes back to you because somebody's going to get pissed off and they're going to not be able to stand for that and they're going to want to correct you. And for the most part, that's a good thing. Um, I've definitely been a keyboard warrior a few times, like trying to get people's just their information right. I just want like good information out there. I don't want misinformation out there, right? So, um,
Yeah, and
that's
like
definitely a thing.
updated stuff too, because like
Yeah, up to date
it's just
information.
people who are kind of like there's people who are like teaching, just regurgitating older stuff and
Yeah,
just outdated things, and and it's just I
part
feel
of
like
it.
it's better now. I feel like there's been a lot of curation that has happened in social networks, and I think the information level has gone way up exponentially, in
Yeah,
the last like 5 years, I would say, like the amount of like quality information that's out there compared to when I first started, it was like, man, it's hard to find anything.
sure. And what up, Hell the Hobo? Welcome. Yeah, and that's like another thing that you got to think about too is that all the people that were posting bad information have had those that many years to find the right information. And if they've kept with it, they inevitably will come across the right information if they care about the subject.
Right.
Um, that's one of the cool things about just like all the boats rise with the water, they say. So it's like eventually everybody will understand the basics, as far as their own experience goes. The further they get down their own experience, eventually they come to the right information. Because truth is truth, and it can't be changed. Um, still trying to figure this thing out. You're currently, looks like you're muted. I can't actually unmute you, so you have to hit the microphone icon in the bottom left near your name.
Also, don't forget to go in and
Oh,
set like a
push to talk.
keybind for push to talk.
Yeah, push to talk.
I use F6. You just go in there and go into your menu. It's like voice and video or chat and video.
Yeah, I can
And
show
then
you.
there's like a keybind area, and then you click it, and it'll say recording. Then
Go
just hit
right
whatever key you want to use, and that's your push to talk key.
right there.
Wait, okay. If you go to Discord, yeah, it's
Yeah. Just hit push to talk, and then you'll get presented with the option.
There you go, Thomas.
Can you hear me?
Hey, got you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like unmuted but not able to hear anything. So
Oh, well, welcome.
well, I've been listening. I've been a fly on the wall. It's been a lot of good info.
Good.
Pleasure, guys.
Yeah, pleasure as always.
Yeah, Mr. Event Horizon, what venue do you work with out in the zoo?
In Kalamazoo, so I didn't really work at any particular venues, but I did a lot of shows at this place called Papa Pete's. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yep, I have. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you do more like Grand Rapids side of the state or Detroit or where you at?
Well, so I did Papa Pete's, a ton of shows. I was with like a couple different outfits there, production outfits and stuff. And then like in Kalamazoo, there was also like Y Bar and Wayside, like there's some other bigger venues. And there's like a lot of pop-up shows everywhere. Then in Grand Rapids, I did a few shows at the intersection with my sound system before they started bringing it, like before they really blew up with like how they are now.
Yeah, that's the venue I've worked with before out there.
Yeah, a couple of different events there. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Detroit rave scene events, but he used to throw the like big giant indoor like 500,000 watt sound
Wait,
system
what?
festivals.
This is working?
Hey, got
You
you.
got it.
yes. Glad to have you.
Yo.
I don't know how I did that, but
Mr. Event Horizon's quick discussion led you to activating your voice.
Yeah, there you go.
And I thought that was too quick. So you're a fast learner, Hill.
You got it.
that's hilarious. Dude, I don't even know what I clicked. I didn't click anything. It just worked.
Yeah, I don't know. So we have a bot right now that currently can mass mute and mass unmute the channel. So while Event Horizons was talking, I was actually hit
I
mass
can't hear.
You can't hear? Oh no. I hit mass unmute. So nobody should have been muted to begin with, but maybe that unlocked something else. I'm not sure. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Undo what you just did, Hell the Hobo. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, now I hear y'all.
There you go.
I want to know what you have to say.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you guys talking about?
We're just hanging out.
We're just hanging out, and I feel like I've been talking way too much, so I want to
Same.
hear everybody else talk.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
Just learning and how we can become better teachers and better learners.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have any issues right now? Do you have any like things that you're kind of struggling with the material?
Let's see. A lot of it is just like, you know how like when you're producing, you have like different phases you go through. Like you have your phase where like you do like a bunch of ideas, and then you're working on a track, and just like figure out like I guess transitioning from the producing sound design stage to that more of like a mixing and then mastering type stage. So just like moving from one thing to the other. That's kind of like where I struggle a little bit. Like, when are you done producing?
Yeah.
And you can actually finally move on to that like mixing mastering stage. That's like the biggest, I would say, like where you get stuck. Like, oh, for example, like you're working on a track, right? And then you feel like it's done and everything, and then you just listen to it to take notes, see if it's ready. But then you feel like, oh, maybe your arrangement is off, and you just like keep on changing. Kind of like what happens when you're at that writing stage, and you just keep going to that one plugging, and just like keep tweaking it, but not that exactly. Just going back and changing the arrangement of the whole track, or like those kind of things.
Yeah, I feel like things like that, they're multifaceted. So, because sometimes I can't write a song until the sounds are right. Like I won't move forward because I'm uninspired until the sound is right. And sometimes like breaking it up. I'm sure you've probably heard by now of daytime and nighttime sessions. Like, you know, basically preparatory and writing sessions. So spend any time you have, not a whole lot of time. So maybe 3 hours or less, just organizing your library and your sounds and preparing them all, making templates, making drum racks, doing all that sort of stuff. And then anytime you have like a full day or an extended period of time when you're really feeling it, you already have that stuff set up. So at that point, you're kind of like a sous chef in a kitchen. You're just able to quickly grab the pre-made ingredients and then throw it together, and you're able to simply compose. Some other advice is some I got from G Jones. I was talking to G Jones when he performed at the club I was at. Um, we were on stage, and I asked him, I was just like, do you have any advice, general advice for, getting through compositions and stuff? And one of his pieces of advice, he said, yeah, write music on shitty speakers. And I just kind of like laughed about it. And he said, no, I'm serious. He said, half the time when I'm writing music, I'm using my MacBook speakers because I know that they're not going to sound good. And I'm just concerned with getting the structure of the song written. I know that I can go back and fix all that stuff later. And I know that because those speakers sound like garbage, I'm not really tempted to go through and like fine tune a kick drum, if I know it sounds bad. I just need a placeholder. So that's another thing that you can try, is just getting the melodic skeleton down and like the instrumentation outline there, and then go back later with the intent of sound designing and refining and fine tuning the composition. And then once you're kind of in a good spot, eventually that will slowly morph into mixing, because you're now focused more on sound as opposed to the composition itself. So, and I will say too, that even Seth and I are sometimes going back to production in mastering. Like, that happens sometimes. So,
Oh, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I was just going to mention that it's definitely, for me in particular, fluid. So, do you have enough computing power to push your your PC through the end of the project mastering wise, or do you not, Hell? Yeah, because generally I'll just kind of say, like, I have enough processing power that I'll try to keep, or I'll start a channel with at least my original MIDI, just a MIDI channel with no instrument in it. But just like Clint said, I do all of my composition phase with like the 80/20 rule, where it's like, I know it's going to be in this position roughly. I have material down. I can always go back to the sounds later. I want to get 80% towards the direction of the kind of sound I want, between like filter envelopes and just in general like acoustic kind of waveform. But then like the mix down is where you're going to polish that up. And then again, I in the master phase sometimes I'm like, oh, I fucking hate the way this sounds now, and I'm going to go back to the way the clap is and change that. So like,
Yeah. And push to talk, remember.
Hell, you got to push to talk.
Yeah, you got to push the button.
There you go.
yeah, I would say just writing timers is my biggest advice too. Writing
Yeah.
timer beats.
Yeah, like I come from like the producer dojo and like watching like Ill Gates stuff. And like the daytime and nighttime session, that was like a huge help. Just
Yeah.
trying to like set yourself like a schedule and stuff. But like back to what you were saying, writing on shitty speakers, because I'll often lay out like a whole track, but then like I'll stop like adding ideas, and I will stop doing that, like just and like move into like mixing, like, and then like start like mixing those little ideas that I have instead of like just doing the whole thing. So
I have an
that's
idea.
like you
I
know
have I have a technique that I have used, and I mean it's not mine, but It's something that I've seen. So making reference tracks, using reference tracks, but using them as structural references. So you'll take a track that you like, that you kind of want to base like just something that flows good, and then you will load it into Ableton, make the tempo of your track the same, and then create a bunch of MIDI lanes underneath it, and then listen to that track 8 bars at a time and describe each individual discrete element with a separate MIDI clip. Just highlight it, and you could like you can show with the length of the clip how long that element plays and where it plays. So if you go through a whole track and map a few out like that, then you have like this structural uh blueprint that you can then apply like your own sounds to.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And like you don't really have to worry. Like, I'm not saying use it as a crutch, but I'm saying that use that to get yourself going, until it kind of just becomes more natural to
Yeah, I'm
you,
actually gonna
like a
gonna do a
framework.
demonstration of that right now. We can see
Okay.
what that's like. That's a good call. I mean, honestly, really glad you mentioned that. Let me find. Actually,
Yep,
hang
I
on.
literally just wrote a song in a day and a half that I'm fucking stoked on that exact way, where it's like, doesn't matter how long you've been producing sometimes, like you can steal other people's arrangement and there's no trademark on that shit.
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
100%. I mean, that's kind of part of it, right? Like you
That's a good idea. I want to try that,
do that. That's a really great idea.
especially since like the way I like to like produce, I don't like to like use like, so for example, if I'm like making like a bass music song, I won't use like an electronic or like an EDM song as a reference. If I were to write, right, like to use it as a reference for writing,
There it
I'll
is.
probably use like a different genre of music and kind of like,
Totally. Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
merge like my sound into it, and like the way I make
There you
music,
go.
kind of
The
like
best part of
use
it
it as,
is Like, the
yeah.
best part of it is you can load the track, so you have that track there. You can make all the MIDI clips that map out the arrangement of the track, and they're just blank MIDI clips, and then you can describe what each element is in the name of the MIDI clip itself,
Yeah.
and then you can group it all and
Here.
drag it into your library, and then anytime you wanna use that reference track to build something, you could just build up a library of reference arrangements, and then anytime you're feeling like you need help, you can just drag that in and you've got it right there from the last time you did it.
So I'm gonna I've got
Yeah, I
to
never thought of doing that.
listen to here for everybody if you want to
Producing for.
Can I
let's
ask a quick question to Hell?
Yeah.
of course.
Okay, all right, sweet. What? I just want, like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but why are you here? I just want to know, like, what brought you here? Like, what made you ask the questions and click the link and join the Discord? You know what I mean? Like, what got you? You know?
I don't know, like, been into music, into trying to make music pretty much, I don't know, for a long time. When I saw that Seth Drake was gonna like start like teaching mastering, I was like, why go to college when I can learn from like the
Yeah,
dude?
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so yeah, that. But what do you mean? Like, explain more like on the question.
Oh, okay. So, like, why I joined is like, I had a hearing loss, and then I was like, how do I break past this? You know what I mean? Like I am limited by my physical representation, and then and everything I make is not as loud. You know what I mean? Or if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you put it that, I just want to be producing for a very long time. Like I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I dropped out of high school because just personal stuff, had to get a job and whatever. So I couldn't really like go to college and all that. So, and then thinking really about it, why pay for college, and why go to college when I can just straight up learn, again, learn the dudes who are learning from the best, right?
That's it.
The ones that actually have experience in the field.
That's
And
the best.
also because I want to be part of like a community of people like-minded, people
Yeah.
who live for music. Where I live here in Maryland, there's not a big community of like producers and stuff. So just trying to be a part of that, learning, helping other people, all that kind of stuff.
Nice, nice. Well, you're here, man, and so glad you're here. This is kind of the technique where
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now. If you want the HD audio, it's you could hear it in that link
But
I just
yeah, man,
posted.
I guess I would say that's why I joined. I want to be
Where's
part
the
of a
video, Clint?
community
The video,
and just like
it's a couple
somewhere
pages
where I
back.
can learn, help others who are starting into it and learning, and also learn from others myself.
Nice.
I hear you. I feel that. And I just wanted to say that I've been here for 3 months, and I feel like that's exactly what I got out of this.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pinned right
dude,
now.
100%. Like, there's so many like people out there who like will teach you how to use a saturator on YouTube and whatever. But like nobody's actually giving you the experience that you get through here. Building a community of like-minded people who want to learn those things that will actually give you professional results. Like how many people on YouTube are actually sitting with you, kind of like with Seth, right? When he does like the guest practices and all that kind of stuff, and like we'll actually sit down and go through it. Like, like how do you know what something is supposed to sound like and those kind of things? It's kind of like in a way having a mentor.
Exactly.
Where I don't have a mentor here in this.
I've got your sound,
Nice.
but
Yeah, no, I agree.
no video feed so we can watch what you're doing.
The video feed. Oh, wait,
Should
wait,
be
wait,
on
wait.
like YouTube or
Oh, wait.
Vimeo.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot I can share here. Hang on. Boom.
Hold on. Have you ever used Audio Movers?
There we go.
Audio what?
He's using it right now. That's what the link was. That
Yeah,
So-
so if you click on the link that okay,
Oh,
so-
I can watch the stream through here. Dope.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. I forgot that I have to share through Discord and because we're streaming in like 3 different locations at once. So we're streaming through
Right.
Discord and Vimeo and YouTube. But Vimeo and YouTube are kind of they're HD, but they're a little slow. They're about 30 seconds behind. So those are really best if you want to just kind of lurk and listen and have really good video. But I
Can you
forgot.
guys hear Clint?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Yeah. Check.
Did you guys open up the audio movie?
Can you hear him?
Check. Yeah.
No, I can't hear him.
Oh, that's strange. If he right clicks on my name, see if he has muted me or anything.
Yeah, right click on Clint Mooney's name and then find the slider that says user volume and see if it's low. Like what percentage is it at?
100%.
Okay.
All right, just leave it there.
Did
One moment.
I can leave and come back. Give me 1 second.
All right, just 1 second, Hell. We're gonna try something.
Link that he posted.
Audio movers.
There
All
we
right,
go.
say something,
You
Clint.
go into the
Oh, there you
go.
town chat.
Oh, there you go.
All
Cool.
right, I can
There's a
hear.
town chat right above, and open that
There it
link, but open it in Google Chrome, and then you'll get a live audio stream right out of Clint's DAW.
Yeah. You can hear the
Wait,
audio.
I can hear you. Oh, I can hear.
Fantastic. Yeah, so here I've got an AU5 song, one of my favorite AU5 songs lately, and yeah, this is that kind of thing where we're basically skeletoning the song. So I've got the DAW in. I mean, I've got the song in the DAW. I've synced it up to the tempo, my tempo of my session to the song's tempo, and then it's pretty much just outlining what you hear using MIDI clips. So very first thing I hear is this pad, and then we've also got these like little shaker percussion, so shaker perks, and so we'll put that in here.
Can you hear this stream, Hell?
Yeah.
Nice. Everybody's locked and loaded. So here, do that. And of course, you can be as big picture or as detailed as you want with these. You don't really have to be too granular. Like, I mean, I've literally gone through and like every type of chord that I've heard, I've recreated that chord. You know, you can go as detailed or as big picture as you want. And honestly, that's a good idea too. So like for big picture stuff, we could just do that really quickly and go, let's see here.
Separate the sections and stuff.
Yeah, like intro, verse 1, drop, or no, this isn't the drop. No, that is
You use Ableton, right, Hell?
verse
Yeah, 100%.
1B. That's 1B. So that's like part 1 continued. Shout out AU5.
One thing I will say with this process is that it allows you to realize, because sometimes in songs, like a song will hit and it's like, man, this is crazy. I didn't hear this before. And you actually did hear it, but you're hearing it coming from a different context. And that's what makes it pop. So a lot of times it'll teach you to reuse sounds in your track from before to make things pop off.
Yeah, exactly.
How long have you guys been producing?
How long
Since 2006 for me.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, for me.
That's a long
Probably.
time.
And I still haven't gotten signed.
Probably 2009.
I'm just kidding.
2000, I don't know. 2008, probably.
I started on Ableton 8.
I remember I started on 8, like as soon as 8 had came out, whenever that was. Well, I was in Reason before that, so I guess whenever Reason, I remember when Reason 4 came out, if that says anything. When was that? Hang on, let's look for when that was.
Well, they're on 11 right now, so.
Oh cow. Reason 4.
Yeah, don't feel bad, Hell. I've been at it for 2 years every single day, and I have fucking 5 songs coming out in May to June right now because of this course, man. Like, this course alone, you single between the dojo and this course.
Yes. It's
That's
like
awesome,
100% better than college, dude. It's like the best alternative you'll have.
Dude,
And it's cheaper and quicker.
I will, hands down, I will say that.
Yeah, you just got to be hungry, and like my girlfriend literally feels like she's the second fiddle now. Since I started producing, she's like, "Oh, I guess I'm 2 now." I'm like, "Yeah, no, like this shit, I'm addicted."
That's cool though, cause like I have 2 years too, but yeah, still trying to finish stuff.
Hey, that's
But
okay.
yeah, this course taught me a lot, man. Like it's crazy what I've learned in the past, like, I would say like year between this and the dojo.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to get into producing for like 4 years now, but like getting the equipment and just putting everything together and getting yourself like sitting down and remixing your life, like what's his name now says, Ilgate says, and sitting down to it.
Yeah.
Like how.
Demonstrate how, like, if you want to get more detailed with it, how you can name individual clips and describe them, like what's happening with the clip,
so
just to illustrate that.
Here you could be like glass, like let's see here.
Timing.
Filter in,
descriptive.
filter in heavenly glass pad. And so you can filter it in. And then here. Can somebody check, by the way, can somebody check the Vimeo and YouTube link to see if audio from Ableton is coming out there? Somebody can check that for me. That would be great. Yeah, here we can go. Let's see. Shaker Perks. Somebody just popped in. Who is it?
Welcome, Saint 7.
Oh, Saint's here. What's up? Starting to get the crew.
Hey, Saint, what's up?
gang's back together.
That's right.
I have a question on the Fab Filter. I've been using it a little bit more on
Yeah.
my bass groups because I put a high shelf on it. I've been using the dynamic, so that way whenever the leads come in, I'm actually pulling my bass down even a little bit further. But I'm using that almost as like a multi-band sidechain. Do you have any experience using the Pro Q3 with the dynamic EQ as with the sidechain audio from another source, essentially as like a compressor? And have you seen, is that okay, or have you seen drawbacks to it?
It's a good question with regards to the external input to it. Usually, if I'm using a dynamic EQ, it's to EQ the signal that is offensive, like the signal that is causing the problem. So I'm not really usually linking something to something else, but that can be a really good thing. Like, let's say that you have two competing frequencies of similar range. So for example, but one that you can sacrifice. So like, let's say you have a shaker, and instead of, you can think about that like it's just frequency specific side chaining. So you can kind of think about that like a compressor in general. If you have like, let's say a shaker and like the top part of a vocal, and I don't know, like you wanted to specifically cut out the sibilance of the vocal in the shaker, so the shaker is like a pretty consistent part, and your sibilance is just not cutting through, and let's say you don't want to sidechain the entire shaker for whatever reason, you can do that. You can also, if you're trying to do like really, really transparent ducking, you can try that with like externalizing it, like having a bass that will cut out only the frequency that is interacting with the kick, like only that one frequency. I'm talking like really specific side chaining. You can do it that way. I've not got a whole lot of experience doing that, but because I don't really find it necessary sometimes. I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say with that, what I've found is that the fact that you only have a threshold as the control to determine what happens, that can sometimes be limiting and difficult um with the timing profile for like percussive stuff. So sometimes you can't get it to move right because you don't have like the controls of like a traditional sidechain compressor, you
Oh,
know?
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I'm like, I could whip out my Pro MB and just pull the Pro MB and just give myself attack and delay settings. But I really love it. The way I've been using it is in bass house because I'll have like my bass below my synths that I don't have playing all the time because it's just gonna ear fuck you if it does. So it's just like I feel like it pulls them and blends them together better in the mids without having any masking on them. So
Yeah.
I like it just in that one instance, but just like you said, I don't like the fact I don't have attack and delay. I just have a threshold, and it's like limiting. But I also like the way it sounds, so I've just been using it just in that application essentially.
I like it to tuck stuff because I mess with that a lot. And then the other thing that's difficult is if you get a bunch of those bands jumping up and down. I mean, even if you have a good CPU, if you have that, that'll eat up tons of CPU cycles.
Yeah, that's what I've been struggling with too. It's fucking annoying. All the
Well,
Fab Filter stuff is so good, but uses CPU.
Well, yeah, and also with phase, like it's gonna like if you unless you're using linear phase mode, it's going to mess with phase, and that can cause problems, of course. But also, if you're going linear phase mode, that's even more CPU. So I think it has its place if you need it, but I would say you don't necessarily need it. That's kind of why things like track spacer are a thing in the first place, to kind of like notch out specific regions. It's kind of like an automated dynamic EQ for you, like an automated sidechain
Yeah, for
dynamic EQ.
vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that for like vocals and shit. I've been using the Fab
Can
Filter
we
Pro
play
Sync
some
for my vocals.
Ableton? I'm just trying to check Vimeo. Hold on, let me mute myself.
Oh, okay. Sure.
All right, Jen. So I got to get to the gym because they close early because of COVID now. So I will
All right.
catch you guys later. Man.
Take
Such a
care.
good
Take care,
time.
Thomas.
Take care, Thomas. Do we have Ableton audio? Did we have Ableton audio in the stream?
Trauma went ghost.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep playing the audio so in case he's checking
It's working.
that. Okay, great.
Hey, I'm here, everybody.
Hey, Saint.
Hey,
I'm finally here.
you made it.
I'm on my phone. I had to figure out this push to talk button.
Oh, with a what's it like? What's it like with a
Same.
phone?
Oh, it's
How
a
do
little
you?
tedious.
Yeah. How do you push to talk on a phone? What button do you push?
Basically, I have the Q&A, like the whole window has to stay open the whole time, and I see your stream.
Huh. Interesting. Never done that one mobile before.
There's a push to talk button on the very bottom.
So right there's a drum fill. So, yeah. So we're in Ableton right now. We're just basically sketching out an AU5 song to get the idea for the structure. For Hell the Hobo, we were talking about this earlier.
Oh yeah. I was on YouTube watching it earlier, so I've been following along. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Plucked. This is like a plucked bass synth. There you go. I really need a stream deck only for like these weird key combos that I'm having to do because of the way my streaming setup is right now. That would be.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's changed me. Like, I just have this little folder in the bottom left. It says Ableton Actions.
Yeah.
And then I just click on it, and I populated it with, you can open plugins. I mean, the sky's the limit,
Yeah. There's also some saw synth chords. And the other thing about this is that it teaches critical listening, which is definitely something really, really important to your ability to mix and to write and to just interact with music in general. The ability to like hear all the elements, and doing this kind of forces you to hear all the elements. It's one reason I love doing this, is that it just, there's nothing quite like it for training your hearing. Actually, hang on.
Trauma, this is what I was gonna show you with that track that you sent me, like that track that you said that was like the one that you like, or your reference, or who you looked up to.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this is that same technique.
So I'm just gonna call this verse 1 and just go like that. And see, Logic actually has this feature built into it, which is really neat. You can do this really, really easily with Logic. And other DAWs as well. I mean, like
Really?
Cubase. Yeah, Cubase has this kind of a thing kind of going on there. I mean, Reason can too. Reason's got that pattern builder, so you build a major, like a big pattern. So you'll call it like, I don't know, verse or something. And you can just like paint that entire, like this entire selection. You can just paint that pretty much anywhere. FL does that too. There's a lot of them that manage that pretty well. Ableton just kind of makes you highlight everything in Command-Shift-D. Which, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, Command-Shift-D will duplicate time. So, like, you can highlight a selection, and it will copy that entire length of time over. You can also you can insert time. I don't know if anybody knows that or not. I think it's Command-I. You can insert time. So if I wanted to put like 16 bars right in here, so just stretch everything out and move everything down 16 bars, you can do that. It's a really useful feature that is underutilized, I think, a lot of the time.
If you do Shift Command X, you can actually put the time. Like if you messed up, you can put the time like back together.
Shift Command X. Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So like if you do like, if you highlight how much like, yeah, and then you do Shift Command I, it would just separate that.
Yeah.
And just give you space. And then if you do Shift Command X, and after you highlight that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. This is new.
You highlight that space, and yep, there you go.
Ah, teaching me things. I love this. I just.
It just made my life so much easier when I figured it out, because I was like, damn it, how do I get it back?
Drop your Patreon, Hell the Hobo.
I always just drag it over from the other.
Yeah, but like, yeah, so I was doing that
or
before,
Command
and the issue I was having is like, sometimes I would miss highlighting something, and like, damn it, my sample is like 3 miles away from where it's supposed to be. So yeah,
Wait, what was
That's
it?
a
You
good
said it's
idea.
Shift Command X will cut the space,
we'll cut the space. Yeah.
and then what was the other one? Like,
Shift. If you just highlight the space and just do Shift Command I, it would just do it instead of having to put how many bars you want.
so Shift Command I didn't do that. Shift Command I is actually a different key command that I just.
Wait, hold up. See if I messed it up.
It's okay. I
Oh,
think it might just be let's see here. I did it a second ago. You know, because Shift Command
think it
I
might have been-
is
Or I think it's Command I. I'm not sure.
Command I
Trying to-
inserts it, but
Yeah.
there's another one that you can do that's similar. But Shift Command I is really, really cool because it basically takes anything you have here. So like, let's say I highlight this amount of time. I've got all these little clips here. If I hit Shift Command I, it will take all of those and it will cut it to a scene. And it will include automation.
Wow.
Yeah, this is like a legendary technique that I got from
so
Zebler and Canty Experience.
yeah, so I messed up. Command I will like separate, so it will insert time in between like the clips.
Right.
And Shift Command X will undo that without you having to click the undo button and like let's say go back on like all the freaking automation just to get the arrangement back in place.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Well, that's interesting. So, okay, I know what it is. It's highlight and then Command I because
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could highlight a region and do that. I only knew that you could just like insert from a point.
Insert it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned something. I learned something tonight. This is good. I love learning new things because you get to a certain point when you know a lot about a software, you're like, okay, well, I figured it out. But no, there's always something new. Thank you for showing me that. That's great.
It just
That's
makes
really
it
cool.
work
I never knew that.
so much easier because like I'm not great at counting like measures and bars and stuff. So like, how much is it? 8? Oh no, Command undo, right? And then how much is it? Like 16. So it was just annoying all the time. So I looked it up and like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so cool. I wonder how long that's been there because that might have been one of those new like because there's little things that they promote for the new versions of the software that are not necessarily promoted. Like they're I'm sorry, how do I say this? There's things that they promote that are not necessarily
marketed.
Well, yeah, there's things that they promote and then there's things they don't promote is what I'm trying to get at. And that's that kind of stuff where they might slip that in occasionally. Like for example, with Live 10. By the way, I want to test something for you all. This is the first time I've ever tested this. If this works, then you're about to see my Windows desktop. So you're on my Mac right now. But if this works, everybody should be able to see my Mac or my Windows. Oh, it worked. Oh, wait, no, wrong computer. Crap. You can't see it. You can't see it in Discord. You can see it on the live stream. But
Just restart the stream.
Oh,
I see what you mean. Just leave it there. Then.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, at least it works that way. I'm still working out audio, but yeah. Anyway, I was gonna show you Live 10. I've got Live 10, or I'm sorry, Live 11 now installed on the Windows machine, and tonight I will be making this machine a Hackintosh. So after this stream, whenever we're done here, I'm gonna turn this Windows computer into a dual boot Hackintosh. So, yay! But yeah. Anyway, Live 11 they have an Event Horizons. You told me about it. It was the compressor. The
Yeah.
you can now
Gain reduction.
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh, man.
That's so important. I don't know why they didn't include that to begin with, but. And you know what's even worse is that they could have left it out had they made this accurate. Like, for example, their graph is accurate. Like, that is actually 6 dB. Like, that makes sense. Every little block is 6 dB. But if you look really closely, yeah. So, like, that's something I've always used. So, like, if you just guess, like, how far down it is, like, okay, one block is 6 dB. But if you notice, like, there's a difference. There's, like, this is not lined up. Like, so you can't really truly, you have to kind of guesstimate, like, because 0 gain reduction doesn't line up with 0 on the threshold here. So it's like, they made it really absurdly difficult for no reason, except now that's not a thing. So they've actually got the gain reduction meter now, which is so dope. Like, little things. It's all about the little things.
Yeah, another huge one that helped me out was like when you take like a melody and you just drop it on the MIDI and it just converts it automatically into like a melody or a harmony. That was like
They
change.
is that that's a Live 11 thing, a new Live 11 thing?
No, it's been there. So like if you do like a MIDI and then you just grab, let's say you have like a sample of a guitar loop, and then you just drop the guitar loop onto that MIDI track with whatever instrument you have, it will ask you if you want to do like a harmony, if you want to like convert it into
Oh
MIDI.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh,
I
hang on.
love that feature, but I've found that if you have anything really complex, it spits out giant walls of MIDI notes, and it's really can be like difficult
Chunk
to
it,
sort
man.
through like what is what. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it helps if you're like stuck like creatively, like you're like, damn, I don't even know what to write, and you're trying to play the piano or whatever, you just can't come up with anything. Screw it, just drop a loop
Yeah.
and something if you
Grab
know.
smaller sections, yeah.
Well, like this is always a really good one that gets me here is I don't know why my key command isn't working. It's kind of weird. One that always gets me is like let's just grab a drum beat. Let's grab my favorite new thing here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I know. We're doing it. It's my favorite new piece of kit. Like this is just the best. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have a beat here, let's plop. By the way, this is XO for anybody who's interested. This is a fantastic drum sequencer / sample manager / toy. I don't know what else to call it. It's just it is really fun. But like let's say you have a drum loop in here and let's say that you're just messing with a loop, it doesn't matter what it is, and you're like, oh, okay, I want to convert this entire loop into MIDI. You could do that pretty easily by actually just stealing the groove. This is something that we used to do a while back before Ableton would actually extract the drum beat. You can instead go extract groove and grab the sequence that way. It was a hack that we used to have to do. So like, okay, we've extracted the groove. The groove lives down here. And so you can drag that out, and that is the pattern. It's not pitching it individually, but it's the pattern. So you could, at the very least, get up in here and drop a drum rack on there, cut out the individual sounds, put them where you want them. So that was always something I really enjoyed. Like, so you can, and it even grabs these little bits that aren't actually. Like, that's really neat. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Can you apply different presets like to get more technical like give it more detail when pulling the grooves? I know that you can do that for like
You have to make
slicing.
it though. Well, like for example, see, it's reading all these transients right here, all these ghosted transients. So like for example, it's reading that there's a hi-hat right here, and there actually is. It's just really hard to see. So if let's say that we didn't have those. Let's say that we have an entirely new. Who just jumped in? Let's say hi.
I'm back.
I think they were
Thomas is
returning.
back.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, hello.
I have a
So-
quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
Which one is more? If you steal the groove like you just did,
Yeah.
is that like more accurate than just dropping the drum loop like on a drum rack MIDI track?
Probably not. But well, I know that it's just different. For example, it won't automatically pitch those sounds, and you can customize what it picks up. So, for example, let's say that this drum beat was totally fresh, didn't have any suggested transients. You can go through here, and because you can insert your own transients, which I think is Command I believe. So let me turn off the grid and put my own drum transients. It's like Command I. There's one. Here's another one, so on and so forth. So you can actually customize the MIDI itself. Like you can basically treat this as MIDI timeline. And so it's like, okay, I know that there's one there. I know that there's one there. Cool. So like those are the only 4 in the entire thing. So now when we extract, oh shit, hang on. Now when we extract it will only pick up those 3.
Oh, so you can also customize it and like you can basically make it as accurate as you want.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and see, it only picked up the one for whatever reason. Actually, kind of weird.
If you use the beats transient mode looping forward and you pull it way down to like 0 and then export it, you'll get just the clicks like every
There you
transient.
go.
Sometimes, so you'll gate away all of that lesser material. So if you're trying to do this on a full song, you can just gate away all of the acoustic material and just yank those
Dude.
transients there.
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea, Thomas.
I'm gonna rewatch
Yeah.
this YouTube video.
Yeah, like this. It's like super duper transient audio, and then you flatten. There's the transients. And then
For
steal.
house, it helped me so much.
Yeah. And then there you can consolidate. I'm sorry,
Look,
extract the groove.
we
there.
even found that little tiny hat at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, that one right there. Yeah. Boom. And there it is. See? And it even steals the velocity and everything, which is great. So, really cool. I think that actually what we just did there, which is the zoom, that is my favorite feature of Ableton. Out of all of the new things that they've got polyphonic expression and they've got all this crazy shit. This is my favorite ability. To just zoom in.
Oh, where
on
you can like.
It's like I want to look at that, and it's like there it is, and then I'm done. Okay, there it goes. Like
Wait, how
that.
did you do that?
X and Z.
Oh.
Just highlight and then hit X, and then highlight again, hit X. I'm sorry, Z. Z is
And if
zoom.
you do it a couple times, it'll like zoom deeper into clips sometimes. So like, say you select
Look at the samples.
once, hit it twice, and it'll pull all the way up. So for like automation, it's so nice. It's like
Yeah.
boom, automation done. XX back out to the full arrangement.
Yep.
Like
I love that so much. That's probably my favorite feature. It's like let's look at this small section. Boom. Let's look at that kick drum. Boom. And then
We're like,
go back, and then go back in, and then back, and back in. It's just so easy to get around now, and it wasn't that way before. I feel like that was one of the biggest workflow advantages that I've found lately. Is just highlight something, zoom in, and hit X to zoom back out. That is just like so important to how I work now. So critical.
yeah, before you used to have to like drag the the scope thingy at the top. And,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And like I never actually grabbed the I usually keep the that outline at the top. I usually keep that gone. Like I don't use this ever. The only reason I even have it up right now is because of the stream on YouTube. If you look at YouTube, I've got a black overlay right here, so you can't actually see any of that. And that's why I keep the browser the same width here, because it's it is because of that overlay.
Screen real estate.
Yeah.
the other zoom trick I love too, if you hold the command key, wherever your mouse is, if you start scrolling inward, it will immediately show you that portion of the screen.
So you said, wait, say that again. If I hold the command key and then
Wherever your mouse is, say you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's where it is, and you just hit command and you hit zoom upward.
yeah, that comes straight out of CAD for me. CAD design, like CAD software, Fusion
Yeah,
360.
Cinema 4D.
Yeah. It's all that's how I had to get around so much. That's super handy. And then H is a really good one too. You can collapse, and then like you want to view all the tracks. Like a lot of the time when people work, things just get weird. Things get like this and whatnot. And that's just really hard for me to perceive. So H really saves my butt a lot. Like hit H and everything's the same size. Like that makes life a lot easier for me. Yeah.
The first week I got Ableton, I printed out and laminated just the hot commands section of the manual. It was like 11 pages, and I think it was the best decision I ever made.
Ha! I bet. It's
How many
so good.
pages do you have?
It's 11 pages. It's 11 laminated pages. Of
Hey.
the 790-page manual, I just picked out like the 11 that works.
Did you say 790 pages? Is it actually that large?
Oh,
Evil
yeah,
kitten.
it's like 800 pages.
Seriously, that's how large the actual manual is? I've never looked.
Well,
have
my
the
pages are
physical
like 750 to 758 or something, so it's at least 750 pages.
Did you read it?
I am looking right now. Holy cow.
Bold of you to assume I can read.
Holy cow, that is 769.
I wonder if
769
Ableton
pages.
still makes like a actual book manual? Because I
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
manual.
They do
for-
making music.
They do.
Yeah, if
No,
you
no,
look
no, no,
up,
no. I have the making music one. I'm talking about like just let's like Live 10 manual, like that PDF file right there. But because when 8 came out, you could buy it as a box set, and I
Yeah.
have the 8 manual, like that came with it. You know, it's like a little booklet that came in the box.
Evil Kittens, check your settings. Check your go to your gear icon beside your name, and you can set up a custom key command. It can be whatever you want it to be. I
Yeah,
recommend
the Ableton
tilde.
manual is astoundingly good, though. It's very readable for any time you need shit.
I'm German engineering, man. They know what to do. That is just like little things. It's all about the little workflow things, and that's actually one of my favorite things about Live is just that it you can get around really quickly. You can find things without having to go through a lot of menus, and that's my number one problem with things like Logic and FL is that there's this everything pops out, and it's all really cool because it's modular, but I would prefer things like Ableton with the ability to just drag and drop in a new portion of the screen. You know, it's
Yeah.
like and pop things out if I want, but not like that be the default workflow, you know?
Yeah, I never understood like FL. I tried to use FL at first, but I just couldn't. I never figured out how to grab a sample, drop it, and chop it like right there on the same screen.
Yeah, I think it's weird because it's such a thorough software. Like you can do some really weird, powerful stuff with FL that no other software can do. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it's just got so many.
Do
little
I want that
quirks.
many windows?
Yeah, like there's so many little quirks about it. It's not as intuitive.
You get Citrus and Harmor though.
You do get Citrus and Harmor, which are arguably some of the best. Like FL, I mean, go ahead.
It is popping off tonight.
I just
Yeah.
picked up my copy since I finally transferred to PC. I finally gave in. And picked up a copy.
Nice. Yeah, actually, I don't have them installed. Because you can't on Mac. I own the Juice Pack, even though I don't own FL. I have the core plugin pack, and I usually use like Wave Candy and Wave Shaper. Wave Shaper is pretty good, but I haven't used it in a while since I've gotten Isotope Trash.
Some of them are converted now. There is some converted, and you can get the full suit for
Really?
Mac
That's
now,
cool.
I believe. Yeah, but they've held off on their more popular plugins. I think by design to make sure that you have to buy, like you've got to buy the software to get like the good shit.
Sure. And I mean, they probably. I know that they had talks about Mac being they're like an FL for Mac, but I don't know whatever happened with that.
It's out.
It's
But
out?
the problem is, yeah, I have FL on my Mac. I have the latest one. But the problem is that like I just bought that crazy Christmas special, and I got like the full edition of FL. And so I have like all their plugins, and none of them open in anything except FL for Mac.
Yeah.
So you can't open them in like
That's
Ableton or anything
Trick.
like that.
That's how they get you. I mean, if you've got enough RAM, you can do like
Yeah.
Dawception. I'm pretty sure you can do one within the other one.
Well,
Or-
okay, so this is another thing. Check this out. This is a software that I got a little while back called NetVST. Let me see if I can find it here.
There's another one that's been out. It's a freeware called Audio Gritter, and
I have
think
that.
you can do that, some kind of stuff like that. too.
Yeah, well, Audio Gritter is interesting because it actually is set up to be kind of like a server where you can offload processing to another computer in its entirety, and it works pretty well, but not
Yeah.
quite. I mean, there's like an uncanny valley. It's not quite as good as like Cubase's native integration of server-based processing, but it's still really good. And then like here with NetFilter, like for example, you just put in like if I pull up, I don't know,
Oh, wow.
let me pull up on my Windows PC here here I got let me see here. Hang on. Net filter. I have to remember how to do this because I don't remember. Oh wait, it's something like. Hang on, I'll figure this out.
Side note,
NetVST host. There it is.
has anyone else had problems with memory leakage and like weird high CPU percentages on idle in the new live? Ever since I've gotten Ableton 11, it's like just sitting there. It's like 10-16% doing nothing.
Hit their
That
Yeah,
support.
there's tons of people. Like I just opened a project today, and it was fine, and it's freaking unusable, and like I don't know, it's big CPU spikes, and like I've got the freaking 28 core Xeon from the 2019 Mac Pro, and it's just like I don't know. There's some issues there, definitely.
So,
So
oh shit. Hang on.
I'm
With
running
with the new live update.
I'm running a
Yeah.
Ryzen 9
Yes, hell.
64 gigs, and it's still choking. But I'm
Yeah.
glad it's not just me though, because for a second,
No, it's not you, man. I mean, I don't know. There's tons of people complaining about it. I don't know if you're on the beta, but I did see that some people, they just released a new beta that had a bunch of fixes, and some people said that it seemed to be better on the latest beta.
Interesting.
yeah, for me, it's still idles around like 5, but are you using there's a little CPU monitor on the bottom. When I do turn off certain plugins, like the new Live 11 obviously has the CPU management, does it show any of the channels as having any yellow on the bottom when you're like clicking that little symbol that shows the CPU usage?
I honestly haven't even paid attention to it, to be truthfully honest. I was hitherto unaware of that feature, but I'll definitely check it out. My host needs other cleanup too, so I was just trying to figure out. My host is having other memory problems. I hope I'm not infected, because that was going to be a pain in the ass to root out. I'm usually pretty careful, and it would be really embarrassing being in the field and have some crazy shit. But
You gotta have a
yeah,
burner machine, man.
I think what it is, I need to update the BIOS, because I put this thing together myself, and all the parts are technically compatible, but they don't all work optimally together. So there's a bunch of tuning I've got to do. But it's good to know that it's not just me, and hopefully the
No.
problem will be fixed to a usable condition.
So,
It's weird.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's weird because when I first opened Live 11, it was actually much better for me. Like one of the first couple of betas that they had, from going from Live 10, which was constantly crashing, and then Live 11 for me was like, oh wow, this is stable and the CPU looks better. But now, whatever they did between now and the actual between then and now, it's just I don't know, it's kind of messed up.
Well, what operating system are you on too, kittens?
I'm on Windows 10, fully patched.
Oh.
Fully patched Windows 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It sounds like it might be I'm not exactly sure what it could be, because I'm literally staring at 11 right now on a Windows machine, and it's at 0% idle. So I don't know what would cause that kind of thing.
What do you have, an Intel or a AMD?
I have an Intel.
That is probably
Oh,
something
is it
that
is it an
I looked
AMD
at.
thing?
Yeah, probably.
Ah, okay.
Probably.
Evil kittens, you're like a computer wizard. You're like a god.
There's
And you're the one asking questions.
it's like Inception though. Like you go, there's actually this is the best way I can frame this, because I know we all feel what we're doing. Like imposter syndrome is a real thing, and what I do, like I probably do know a bunch, but then you constantly, if you're one of those people that's constantly pushing and constantly learning and like never, like always getting out of your comfort zone, like you always meet like more and more people that just like know way
Yes.
more and go way deeper and like way smarter and learn things way faster. Like there's always another level. It's crazy what's out there, dude. There's some
True.
really
100%.
truly scary people in my field that can just like rip systems apart. It's crazy. I'm always in awe. It's intense. Same with the music industry, dude. Like you think you learn some like clever trick, and then you watch like Mr. Bill or like Seth Drake and Clint, and you're just like, what is this shit? I don't even know. I'll have to go back and watch this 5 times. Clint,
Yeah.
are we gonna do more sound design sessions too?
If you'd like to, for sure. Yeah, that's actually a whole section that we're planning on doing after we get this most recent content filmed. Like we have a whole lot of stuff that we're planning, and it's all happening at the exact same time. So we're just kind of like struggling to keep up with all of it, but we're that's on our list for sure. I mean, and we can do some sound design stuff right now if you want. What I'm actually doing right now at the moment was I can't remember. I had a reason to while I was filming some new content recently. I had a need for this type of VST here. This is called Net Filter, and it runs in Wine on your Mac. And so I had to load up a 32-bit Windows VST inside of my Mac, and it worked. And it was pretty cool, honestly. It actually worked really well. But of course, you have to like come over to this environment to make your changes, and then hop back over into here to actually use it. So it was a little clunky, but that actually was a solution. It wasn't a great solution, but it worked for what I was doing at the time. And it does the same thing with synths. So like you can use it as an instrument too. So that was a cool little free thing. And Audio Gritter, I should have. Let's see.
Can you link us to that net filter thing? Because I'm trying to find it right now, and just whenever you get a chance, just
yeah,
throw it in there.
for sure.
So I'm still slightly confused. So it allows you to route audio information from a separate host.
No, so you run it on your Mac, and it opens up inside of Wine. So see, like it looks like Windows. It's a little Windows environment inside of Mac, and then you load up your VSTs inside of it, and then it talks to the plugin version of it, and then you can use so you can use like 32-bit Windows software inside of a 64-bit DAW host, which is really weird. And also,
J-Seth, what's up?
Does it mess with your CPU?
no, not really. I mean, it's not. Like I said, it's a clunky solution, but it does work.
Well, it probably uses it's obviously using some kind of interprocess communication. It's clearly a separate process and also separate threads. So it would be if you have multiple cores, it would just be running off one of the other cores, probably.
Yeah. Here is I'm dropping a link to it right now. Let me see if this is. I feel like there's some super old sketchy site. Actually, yeah. There you go. And then the other one that we were talking about is Audio Gritter. Audio Gritter is really probably the better solution here. So like, let's say, for example, I'm on my Windows PC right now, and I'm going to drop in Audio Gritter. Let's go. Wait, hang on. I actually think I might need to run this as a... Yeah. So I have to run this program on my PC, and it's opening up now. It's kind of taking a second to scan through all my VSTs I've just installed recently. But once it's done, I can load a VST on it, and then on that software on my Windows PC, and through networking, communicate with this plugin here and pull up the actual interface and everything just like you would a normal VST. Again, it's a little clunky, but it still works. And this is free. This is a freeware project by a student at MIT developed this. Really cool. If there's ever a way, like this is kind of close to the way. So once it gets done scanning all my plugins, I'll pull up an example for you. And we got a bunch of people in here right now. This is cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
missing links. What up?
What is it?
What is
VSL?
up?
What was that? It was what?
Kind of like Vienna. You know, Vienna.
Yeah. So Vienna Sound Library. That's the best solution that I can think of. Otherwise, you're having to get into like Dante, and I actually have Dante installed on my Windows machine right now. It's like a smaller version of Dante, which is like network-based audio communications. So it's really cool because, like, let's say that I don't know, under any circumstance, you have a laptop and you need to get your laptop to talk to another computer, and you don't have in real time, and you don't have an audio interface to link the two up somehow. Well, you can use virtual sound card from Dante, and it's literally like you plug in an Ethernet cable into your laptop, plug that same Ethernet cable into the Windows, and Dante is a virtual audio interface. And
What kind
so
of latency do you get with that?
none. Like
Nice.
none. Yeah, it's awesome. Dante, if you don't know Dante, you should definitely take a look at it because we like, for example, it's audio over IP. So anything you can do with data, you can do with audio, kind of, if with it. Like, for example, when I worked at SAE, we had a series of computer labs that all had like 20 and 30 computers in there. And one person, the guy who was like over all of the hardware of the school, was able to remotely turn on all the computers, log in to all of them at once, install new software on all of them at once, and run pipe audio to and from any computer to any other computer using Dante. Like, that's how good it is. It is an
Sounds like
insanely powerful software.
sounds so sweet for like live performance.
Yeah, Dante has a lot of applications. A lot of people really do like it for live and things like that. Let's see, audio gritter. I don't know what just happened. My software died. Oh no, it didn't. It's down here.
It's only like $30 too.
Which one?
Well, there's a DVS permanent license, and then Dante Via and Dante Virtual Sound Card combo for $60.
I just bought the combo.
Right.
Like yesterday.
I think I'm about to get that. Man, you're always getting me, Clint.
Hey, you got me the other day. Event Horizons showed me a Via. Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. I gotta show it off.
Here we go.
I didn't buy it yet though. I still have to. I'm still like, I'm about to, and I'm like right on the fence about it. But I'm real flipping close. So, all right, check this out. So imagine you've got, it's just an automatic VST sidechainer that works really well. So like, let's grab a serum here. And let's grab a basic. I don't think I have any patches on here, but this will work. And let's just grab some MIDI. There you go. And let's take that and just shorten that to a quarter note so we can re-trigger it. And then, like pretend you've got, let's say, a kick drum. Let's find a good kick drum here. All right. This is, by the way, this is definitely me recommending you to XO. Let's not have any confusion about this. I am absolutely recommending you to buy this product, and I'm not getting paid for that. But I think it's just a great tool.
Dude, I might just get it just because of the grainy colors.
Right?
What am I seeing?
Okay, so this is an AI or a machine learning sample sorting drum sequencer and sample organizer. So I loaded up about 30,000 samples into here, 38,000 samples into here from various sample packs. And then, like, let's say I want kicks. Okay, there are all my kicks. And you can just, like, click through them. And they're sorted by frequency from right to left. So high frequency stuff is, well, predominantly high frequency stuff is to the right. Lower frequency stuff is to the left. Shorter samples are up top, longer samples are at bottom. So, and I can show you that here. Like, if I filter by like link or by frequency dominance, it's like, okay, all of these are primarily having frequencies above 500 hertz. So,
oh, those are samples.
Yeah, these are all samples. And then here,
That's any samples you want to put in there too.
Yeah,
dude, I thought it was just like a cool, like, open up like software kind of like animation.
No, it's really dope because, like, let's say we find a drum we like. Like, so for example, I want to search only, let's just search only the content that it comes with. Or actually, no, let's actually make it a good example. Let's go like, I'll just do all of them. Like, let's say I scan through and I find a kick. Oh, so there was one a couple back that I like. It has a history mode, so using the arrow keys, I can go back and like, okay, there's where I landed, but now it's gonna find me ones that are similar to that in frequency and like level distribution. So they're all gonna sound roughly similar. And then like, that's a cool one. Now let's find one similar to that. That's, you can find a lot of sound really quickly. So that'll do. Let's load that over here. And you have a host of edits that you can do to the sound. You've got an envelope control with a transient transient control here. It's really handy, very useful. Pitch control, tonal control, filter, velocity sensitivity. It's got an entire sequencer here that is just really, really good. Like, here's some just basic kits that I've made recently. Like, so it's got a whole lot of utility. And what's also really cool about it is that,
Dude, this is perfect for like timer beats. You like sequence a bunch of crap in like
Yeah.
really fast.
yeah, and what's also really neat is that, like, for example, let's say we play a beat that we really like, I don't know, this basic beat here. If I hit these buttons over here, I can like get drum kits that sound similar. So if I turn off my filtering, I can get drum kits that sound similar. And that's like a way to get a lot of drum kits at your disposal really quickly, like super duper fast. Another thing is, like, you have similar kits over here too, so. And so while we're messing with this, it's like, okay, let's say I don't like that sample there, but I really do like that snare. So like, I'm gonna lock that snare. I like that. Hats are okay. Let's just lock everything but that kick. You can hot swap things. It's just a really good software. I'm going to lock everything but that sample. I don't have to do it this way. I could just hot swap that one thing out, but I want to show you just to kind of how, like, let's say I don't like, I don't know, any of that. And then I hit the randomization. It'll just swap them out. So if I keep going. It's an easy way to get a lot of really good sounding drums together really quickly. Big fan. I'm typically somebody that avoids like automated anything, but this one has got me thinking otherwise. Like, this one is pretty flippin' handy.
So do they just come with the preset settings there? So it'll come with like a gang of 4 to the floor beats, a bunch of breakbeat shit, or do you have to download these packs?
No, this is what it came with. Well, except for the user stuff, which I made. So like all of these I've made, but then
Run us through like a quick like 2-bar loop you can make like as fast as possible. Just show us how to sequence it real quick. I'm intrigued about the sequencer more than anything.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so let's go to my initialized default. This is one I made. So it's just a, empty, completely empty. So, all right, find a kick. Actually, I want to start on a snare. Let's find a snare. So let's go up here. I just want to find snares. So let's go back. Oh, that's a cool one. Let's load that up. Cool. And then let's find a kick. So actually, let's go back. That'll work. Lock that in. And then let's go for a basic hat here. Oh. That works. So let's lock that in. Okay. So those are, kick, snare, hat. It's about as basic as it gets. So boom, 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 boom. So you've got the ability to have velocity in the step sequencer. You can have rolls. So I can say, hang on. There we go. So you can have it roll. You can roll it 3 times. You can have it velocity. Let's go there. Have a weak, like every other hit like that. Pitch it up. Little reverb. I don't like how this hi-hat sounds anymore. I'm kind of like not a fan of that. So I want to kind of like shift around the tone, see if I can get it Nah, I don't like it. So I'm just gonna reset those settings and find a new hi-hat. That kind of works, but it's a little bright, so let me just filter it.
Oh, and it doesn't mess up the pattern.
No.
How do you feel about the quality of the processing within this unit compared to doing this externally in an Ableton?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. I think this is a great starting point to get ideas generated quickly for use later, because let's say that, like, and also like the group processing here is really nice. It's got a transformer modeler, which is awesome. Like, you get a nice little bit of crunch going on. Like, it's got I don't know whatever the fuck knock actually is, but cool.
So it does have some nice processing, it looks like.
Definitely has good processing. It's got a soft clipper, which I pretty much always have on. But let's say that you get to a point where you like it. You go here, and then you can hit render, and it will render out raw versions, processed versions, full stems, all beat, the whole beat, individual hits, individual raw hits, the full beat as a wave, and the beat MIDI. And if I want, I can re-render it, them keeping relative levels to make a sample pack out of it. And then you can also just drag and drop any of that shit over here. So it's like full beat, no problem. Individual stems, like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like,
you just
It's a
shut it down
no-brainer.
with this one right
All
here.
right.
yeah.
What's the name of this?
XO.
XLNXO.
XLNXO. It is I like it quite a bit.
Notes real quick.
Yeah, right. They just had a sale that ended like 3 days ago, but I think it was like $100 or
posted it.
something. Yeah, it's so
Let's
good.
harass them for a student discount.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we can hit them up. I'll put that on our list. We began that process of reaching out to everybody. So yeah.
Show them the dice rolling. How you can like roll the dice in the sample combiner.
Oh yeah, so like let's say, yeah, we'll just use the kit we've got here. So you've got all these little hidden menus in here. So like Beat Combiner will rearrange your MIDI and like give you a new pattern. So like let's say we want a new hi-hat, like you can, it's got preset kind of patterns for that, which is cool. But you've also got a sample combiner, which if you don't have the filter on, will usually just like randomize the samples. So it just
Speaking of patterns, has anyone played around with the new built-in groove pool? Live 11 has a whole suite of them now.
No, I've not. That sounds really fun though.
They're pretty legit too.
I still don't understand how the groove pool works on Ableton.
I'll show you. I'll show you. Watch this. So like we've got our basic beat here, right? And it's pretty let's go back to let me go to just a good kit overall. So not that one. Let's go for, I think it's this one. That's pretty smooth, like not bad, right? So we can take that, grab the MIDI, and there we go. Okay, so there's our MIDI. Yeah, we want that beat. There we go. Close that. Okay, so the groove pool, what it is actually doing is shifting the micro timing of the samples just a little tiny bit. So, and it will apply different grooves from different drum machines. So like, let's say that this whole thing didn't have any feel. It's already been shifted a little bit, as you can see. Because
yeah, so like if it was like super hard quantized,
yeah,
right?
The timing and the velocity, and that's the thing. I think because we've gotten into a lot of new production doesn't really have a lot of complex like hat patterns and stuff.
Yeah.
If you're writing like old school like jungle drum and bass, a lot of the groove comes from the actual velocity, like not just the timing, but the way that the like which ones hit.
I just recently watched a weekly download on like how to add movement to your drums, and I love how he was like going over like modulation and how like a tiny bit of modulation would like make every single hit of like a drum like sound different. So that was really dope.
Yeah. So here, for example, like with this straight up, like it sounds okay, but it's not great. We can put some swing on it. So that's what the groove pool is. You right click, browse groove pool library. This is in Live 10, by the way. But like you've got swing, so you double click on it, and now you've got kind of this groove applied in your groove pool. To actually use it, you got to go to the clip and then go down here and choose one of the grooves. So let's go breakbeat, And so now we should be
Oh, but like,
hearing a groove. And to actually see what changes are actually there, we commit it. And now all of it's like it's been slightly shifted, and you can kind of see it like it's slightly off
yeah.
in certain parts. So that's more or less what it is.
So you see how you have like your library right there? We have like hip hop 1, 2, 3, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You basically like pick those out and you put it in the groove pool, right? Like the groove pool is like a
Right.
whole separate. You have like whatever you prefer and what you like.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
an
okay,
overlay.
okay.
It's like an overlay that you throw onto the MIDI, and I think it works for audio too. If you have,
Does, yeah.
yeah, if you click those little points on the audio, it can work with audio, and you can also extract them. So like I used to experiment with this, and it works well sometimes, and then it less well other times. But you can if you hear like a tune that has like a groove to it that you're like, whoa, that's like makes me bob my head or whatever, you can actually extract that groove and add it to your pool if it's good.
You can
Totally.
actually make your own as well.
Yeah.
One
just
thing
with
I would
MIDI,
add,
you can
if
totally
you're
make that.
using the groove pool and extracting stuff, and if you find that it takes away from the power of whatever you're applying it to, then just use the velocity percentage parameter right there in the groove note, so it won't mess with your
Velocity.
sound as much, because like sometimes like what I'll do is if I have a loop and it's like I want to sync everything else to the particular loop that I'm using, or a percussion loop or something, if I want to get it to flow right, I'll extract the groove from one thing and then groove everything else to it. And sometimes it's sucking hits out because that velocity is ducking or changing the level of each individual hit too much. So sometimes you want the velocity to do that, and sometimes you don't.
Definitely. One of
Yeah.
my favorite things also is to use like the contact instruments like West Africa, like the West African drum ones has some awesome patterns, and use that and then pull the grooves out of that and like arrange out of that, so it doesn't sound like a contact instrument, but still has like that weird like hand drum rhythm to it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So the reason I brought up all of XO and everything to begin with is just to get halfway decent kick. And so because I want to show you this plugin that Event Horizon showed me 2 or 3 days ago. Damn you. Because I'm probably going to buy it now. There it is. So let's just grab quarter note. Just grab something like that. Let's put this at 120 or so. That'll do. And then what I'm doing here, of course, we just got a basic, let's turn this down. Okay. So basic, super simple shit. But like, let's say you want to sidechain this. Let's find a different kick here. That'll do. There you go. Dance music. Yeah. Okay. So here is this plugin that we found, or that James found. I didn't find it, but it's called Laser. This thing is.
I don't even know what it does, but I already like it.
Right? It's so freaking sweet, though. Like, okay, so here's our kick. So let's go ahead and label that kick. And then on the plugin, let's sidechain to the kick, of course. And watch what this thing does. You play the track, you set the threshold, you play the track, you hit the laser button, it will automatically generate an optimal sidechain curve. Watch this. Look at it. It's changing by itself. And look, it generates a perfect curve for your kick. And then like listen how transparent that is. Like, and then now you want to make more. Like, really, really good. Big fan.
Do you gotta have it like running all the time, or can it extract like the automation to put it like in the channel?
Now, I feel like that would be a fantastic suggestion for the company. I don't think you can do it like that, but it wouldn't extract the automation. but there might be a plugin that I can actually probably make a Max for Live patch that can extract automation. I'm sure that there's a way.
Oh,
Yeah, there's got to be a way, but you have to get into like the API of the plugin. But that's like that is how it do. And I'm a big fan.
I'll tell you, Clint, before you buy that, before you commit to it, check out the Max for Life device called Carver.
No. And the reason why, I know exactly what it is. It's awesome, but it's a Max for Live patch, and
Right.
that's my main problem with it. If they had if they weren't Max for Live, that would probably be a really damn good transient shaper. Like that is
Yeah, just trade-off wise, you know, if somebody
Yeah.
doesn't, if somebody's only working in Ableton, or you know, if they don't want to spend this like this is on sale for 59 right now, but normally it's 79. So if somebody doesn't want to spend that, then I think Carver is way cheaper, and you know, or LFO Tool even.
LFO
too.
Tool is really good. My
Yeah.
one complaint about LFO Tool, and I have all the methods practically for getting, you know, I've got Gatekeeper, I've got Volume Pro, Volume Buddy, or whatever the hell it's called, Volume Control by Cable Guys. I've got the Cable Guys one, Volume Shaper, but Gatekeeper would be my favorite if or with one thing actually, if it had an oscilloscope, like a running oscilloscope of the sidechain, that would be really cool. If it did, that would probably make this one my favorite. LFO Tool I got because it does have an oscilloscope behind it, which is really cool. And it's equally as clean. But the main problem with LFO Tool is that it doesn't tell you what position, like what millisecond value these like this timing distance is. Whereas Gatekeeper does. Like you can actually go through and separate by milliseconds, which is really nice. So I feel like if there were a combination of these two plugins, that could be really cool. But and then Volume Shaper? It's not bad. It ain't great. I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it either. I mean, it works, but
what's the advantage of sidechaining like this instead of just using like the compressor sidechain?
One, it has to do namely just distortion. Because if you look here, I've tested Live 8 and 10's compressors, and I have found that if you look at their curves that they're applying, so like, let's see, here's the Live 8 compressor with response to this is its response to an input signal. It's pretty smooth, right? Like it's pretty darn smooth. And here is Live 9's compressor with the same amount of look ahead. All right, even smoother. But the problem is whenever you start using an impulse or like a real sample. So for example, I should probably just manufacture this example honestly again. So here we go. Let me just do that. It'll take a second. Give me 1 second. But basically what I found is that Live 9's compressor is following the pitch too well, and it is causing distortion. Like it will always cause, like a compressor will always cause distortion because it is a volume restrictor, not a volume reducer. So by virtue of that alone, it is going to impart distortion, and it does so because the signal is rectified going into it. And let me just show you this because it's easier to show than to like tell. So here is a DC signal generator. Let's just grab some DC signal. Okay, so there's a plain DC signal. You see, it's just positive values, and that's it. No alternating current, just positive current. And so what you can do is you can take a compressor, and let's have it link up to the kick drum, and let's have it give it a little bit of look ahead, 1 millisecond, and okay, so we're not gonna hear anything, but we're gonna see. We're gonna hear basically its gain reduction. And so let me duplicate this channel. Let's freeze it. Let's wait. Is this live? Okay, this is live 8. Okay, so here is the gain reduction curve for the live 8 compressor with our current kick drum, right? Pretty good. Not bad. But if we show live 9s, well, again, let's just duplicate, upgrade.
Could you do this with the Pro C2?
I have, yeah. Actually, I think I have it somewhere. Hang on. It's in my library. Like, I've done all of that with all of them. Like Pro C2 in every possible mode. Gates. I did it with all the gates. You know, the Ableton Gate, Pro G, and all that. So you see, the top graph here is Ableton 9. And it follows more accurately because it's a faster, cleaner compressor. It's just that is actually the problem. It is following more accurately, therefore causing more amplitude change, therefore causing amplitude modulation distortion. So, a compressor will always impart distortion on a signal 100% of the time. That's a problem. So that's why people use gates occasionally. Well, there are a couple reasons why people use gates. Gates have more envelope control. They are an expander, so they're not really imparting the same kind of distortion because they're not responding in the same way. They have the same kind of sidechain, but let me show you what I mean by the sidechain being rectified. So, like, in order to be a true envelope follower, the sidechain needs rectification, which is a mimicking of what happens in real compressors with diodes and shit. So it just has to do with, like, you take all the positive aspects of the waveform and flip it to the negative or the negative to the positive. So I have a rectifier here. And so this is what rectification looks like. And so this is how all envelope followers are actually built. They have to rectify the signal before they actually do the rectification or the measurement of the amplitude. Because if they didn't, it wouldn't be a true absolute value of the envelope. It would be a alternating, like, wiggling line. It wouldn't be very accurate. So they have to rectify the signal to get a true, like, actual just envelope of the thing over time, right? So, like, you know, or whatever. So they have to rectify, and by virtue of that, Ableton 9's compressor and a lot of other compressors are following, to the best of their ability, when you have fast release times, every fucking groove. Every fucking groove. Just every single one of them. And so because of that, that imparts distortion. And because it's just the volume going up and down like crazy. Whereas a volume shaper, i.e. LFO tool, is literally just a volume control that is following a much more general trend and not following all the little intricacies. So it responds a lot better, a lot cleaner, and I can prove that by having our signal. Let's see here. I've got DC. Let's leave this DC alone.
So do you use a gatekeeper, or do you generally not?
You know, if it's my own music, I have switched like 25 times from using regular compressors because you can't really hear the distortion to okay, maybe volume shapers would be better. And then now I'm back to, well, maybe gates are better. Because I don't know. There's like I've literally went across. I've tried automation by hand. I've tried cutting out the waveform, and I've even tried crossfading kicks into subs, which does work really well for certain things. But like, it all just, I don't really know what's the best. I think it all comes back to just knowing the differences and picking and choosing. So like, for example, I can show you a good. Let me see. Hang on one second. Let me just look in my example here because I have. At least I had all of the compression, like all of them tested. Let me see if
Because
there's...
lately
Go ahead.
what I've been doing as far as sidechaining is usually like creating a fade, like right where like every kick hits, just to let the transient like punch through.
Yeah. I'm looking for a project, by the way. Oh wait, hey, I found it.
And combine that with like a light sidechain. So it's like a mix of both. So the compressor, I guess, is not working hard.
Yeah, it's
The
either way works. I mean, I know for a fact that like Zeke Beats just cuts out audio where his kicks are. Like he's told me that multiple times.
that's how Mr. Bill does it too.
I just didn't know that it adds compression. What's it called? Distortion every time.
Not when you cut out like that. No.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, I've seen a whole video Mr. Bell doing that.
So here, for example, wait, that's okay. So yeah, this is okay. Okay. So here we have a Dirac impulse, a unit impulse. It's just a single full-scale digital sample inside of a file full of zeros, generated with Audacity. It's one of the main reasons I still like Audacity. Oh wait, you probably can't see that. There you go. Well, video couldn't see that. Hang on. The stream. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So Dirac impulse, and it's a perfect pop because physics tells us that a sufficiently short impulse will act as all frequencies equally at the same time. So if I just loop that, you can see, well, if I go in front of listen to here, and if I make sure, for some reason, it's something ain't quite right there. It's not supposed to be even rolling off like that. Normally it won't. I'm not sure what is going on in this one, but in any case, we have an impulse here. And that impulse, when you trigger the compressors with that, you can get a true reading of what they're doing, and this is the results from that. Like, see, Ableton 8's compressor responds a lot slower, which actually helps because it won't follow the envelope as effectively. And that really does help it get smoother sidechaining. But you can see Live 9's compressor is so much more accurate. Like, it is so much more accurate. It's just that's literally causing the problem. And to give a physical example of that, Live 8's compressor up top, Live 9's compressor on the bottom. That's the curve that you're imparting on the signal. So like Live 9's compressor is more accurate, but that is causing the problem. So
that's crazy. I always thought that accuracy would be like better.
for most things, for a lot of things, a lot of places in the world it is, but not here. And like here is the Live 9 or 10 compressor in RMS mode. See, it's a lot smoother, but it's still not quite, like, still got this weird little stair-steppy thing following our kick at the beginning. So so that's that. And then I've got another version of this test that I did here with all of the fab filter and all that stuff. So let's see here. Let's just do H. There we go. There we go. Okay. So yeah, there's our unit impulse at the top. Here's our kick sample and our DC signal. So those are all our test material in yellow. In green is Ableton, and then at the bottom, and that's tested with a kick. Again, that's the same thing you just saw, but again. And then down here is all of that data but tested with the impulse response. I didn't do the kick yet. Although this can tell you enough because it's an impulse. Here's all the data responding to an impulse, and this is like fab filter and the gates and stuff. So again, Live 8, Live 9 Live 10 compressor in logarithmic mode, Live 10 compressor in linear mode. I actually prefer linear mode for ducking. That actually, most of the time, your audio samples are going to follow this kind of a pattern, like anyway. So that might actually be better.
So these are all with the 10 millisecond look ahead?
Yes, all of these are 10
Because
milliseconds.
those are more than 10 milliseconds behind the bar 7.
They're not.
Oh, maybe.
It just looks like it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And like the look ahead is also a really interesting feature, and actually learning about look ahead is how I discovered that you can do this in the first place, because Dan Worrall has a video where he talks about look ahead, and he illustrates that certain plugins, the look ahead actually changes the onset of the attack time, and then some plugins, the look ahead changes not the onset of the attack time, but the entire sequence of the attack time. So like it can actually shift your entire, or it shifts the entire response curve to the left. So you have to adjust the release. And that's actually what I found to be true with certain plugins, which is really weird. Here
Have
is
you,
okay.
have you tried increasing the attack time to millisecond or something with a millisecond look ahead?
I did. The closest I could get from Live 10's compressor to Live 8's compressor was having a I believe it was 1 millisecond attack and a 5 millisecond release. I think is the closest I could get with and moving up in increments of 1 systematically. That was as close as I could get to matching Live 8's compressor with Live 9's compressor with Live 8's compressor. I keep saying Live 9, but it's Live 10. They haven't updated since Live 9, but you know what I'm saying.
And do you think that that's ideal for sidechaining in this case to get the dips where you want it?
Not really. I'm actively in the camp. I'm still in the camp of if you're going to do sidechaining, don't use Live 10's compressor. That's the camp I'm in. I don't care if it's a gate you use or Live 8's compressor or a volume shaper, but any of those will have less distortion if you do it right. That's my opinion. And I think that still holds true because I can actually test that. Like for example, here, if we listen to just the DC, you can actually hear the distortion, like the exact distortion, like that is imparted. And I did null testing with this too, from the original kick and then or a rectified version of the kick, et cetera, et cetera. I did a bunch of testing and it, like, for example, if you set up your DC signal, actually we can probably do it. We have our DC signal here and if I link this to the kick, the test kick, let me name that test kick. You can actually usually hear, you can hear the distortion. So that's Live 8 at fastest settings with a look ahead. And then the exact same settings for Live 9. You can hear it. It's just like night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you show us the fab filter ones at the bottom?
Sure, yeah. So the fab filter ones are actually significantly slower and weirder, and I couldn't figure out why. It's I got as absolutely as close as humanly possible in matching settings, and the settings I used for comparison were what we just saw here. Fastest look ahead, or 10 millisecond look ahead, 1 microsecond attack, 1 millisecond release. You can't get that fast on the release with Fab Filter because it responds proportional to input amplitude and it's content dependent. And they tell you that as much. That's why they have it in percentage, not actual times, which is fucking stupid. But I mean, it works. Anywho,
I thought you can undo the auto release and it will give you a percentage of milliseconds instead.
Oh yeah, it's like but they're all like reactive, and it depends on content, and that kind of.
Oh, it's still reactive to the content and input.
Yeah, and that is like kind of annoying, but I get it. It's like it makes sense musically, but for doing very specific tasks like this, it doesn't. So here's the default pumping mode. Definitely not a very pretty looking curve relative to an impulse. Relative to an impulse, we've got the clean, which was okay, not great. I mean, it kind of fits closer to the Live 8. It's a little, I mean, it's a lot longer, but it's a little closer-ish, I guess. And then we've got, this was an interesting one. Fab Filter in opto mode actually had the fastest response time, except I had to pump its sidechain input by 88 dB to get the gain reduction to actually work. So if you can get enough gain into the sidechain, it'll duck fast. It's just, 88 fucking dB is a lot. Yeah, 88. 88. Yeah. Kind of bizarre. So yeah, the more you know. And then here in punchy mode, not too dissimilar from clean mode, which is, pumping mode is definitely the best as far as like overall shape, but it depends on your kick content, your kick's amplitude curve. But here's the gates. So the gates were I was pretty impressed with. you can't have any less than 30 milliseconds, no matter how fast you set the Ableton gate and no matter how fast your impulse, because again, I used a Dirac impulse, a unit impulse. It was infinitely fast. It was only one sample. And with that as our input, this was our output. 30 milliseconds, even with 10 millisecond look ahead, like you're never going to get less and as fast as humanly possible to set those settings. Like, don't think I have them saved, but it was literally just as fast as you can, all across the board. So like, threshold was, it's arbitrary for right now, but fastest look ahead, fastest. And I had the same amount of gain reduction that all the compressors were applying. Yeah. So, and I even tried it like with like infinite, and that's I think that we have here. But then I tried like less and less and less, and it still never reduced the time. So there's just something about the processing that causes 30 milliseconds, and it doesn't actually report latency very much, which is interesting. Like it reports it here. It says 10 milliseconds there. Oh, well, I guess that, well, no, it still doesn't make sense. It's reporting 10 milliseconds of latency, but that's because of the look ahead. Even with 0, see, it's not reporting any latency down in the bottom left corner. But something about the plugin, it will take 30 seconds to process the input signal. But that's not that long compared to the fact that this is like, plugins are not made to react to a unit impulse. Like, that is remarkable that it was even able to get that clean of a cut anyway. So that's cool. Here for comparison with the exact same settings, and I mean exact same settings. Well, yeah, the exact same settings, with the only difference being the amount. I had to like reduce the amount to get it to be the same amount, but which doesn't change the timing in the slightest. This is what the FabFilter gate looks like. I do think this is more musical most of the time, but you can tailor this using the attack and release and so on to actually get a really fucking good looking curve. So fucking sexy curves.
That was Pro G.
Yeah, this is Ableton's. This is Pro G.
Dope.
Yeah. So all in all, what I have learned throughout this crazy process is that so long as you are sufficiently reducing the level of your signal over time to A, to taste, and B, in amount, it almost doesn't fucking matter provided you're not introducing distortions. And that's exactly what Live 9/10's compressor actually does. So that is like, if there's anything to be gained, it is that plugin is ass for sidechain. That's like literally the lesson here, is that is the worst way to sidechain. Like, period. Just because it's such a good compressor. And I think that has to be said. It is a good compressor, which is why it sucks for that exact process. So, yeah, you know. But that's why I also love this this flipping what do you call it? Laser. Because you can, it's such a transparent sidechain, and it automatically kind of gets you there. You just point it to where you need it, and that's pretty much all you have to do. So like, let's go sidechain to kick, play it, hit the laser, let's loop the content, and it automatically tweaks, and then that's pretty much it. Like, it's done, and you can change the amount here and kind of tweak it as you need it, you know. Really, really, really smooth. Like, and I tested this as well, by the way, with an impulse, and it got a curve that was very similar to Ableton's just like square looking gap, but a lot faster. So it was pretty fucking impressive. It can't go as fast because it's just not made to, but it does work. Like, it does respond really, really quickly. And actually, let's go ahead and test it just to make sure I wasn't confusing that with something else. So let's put that here on the DC signal. Let's call this test kick. Sidechain the laser from test kick. Play to tuna. Have it automatically do its thing. Actually, no, we don't want it to automatically do its thing. Well, yeah, let's have it automatically do its thing. So it's thinking about it. It's tweaking. All right, so there's the curve it generated for this kick. Let's go ahead and lock in that kick so we can see the waveform here. And then let's lock in this laser thing here. So let's save that one for later. And let's flatten that one. Oh, what? What? Oh. Okay. That's weird. Okay, I feel like it should work now. How many people we got hanging out? Oh my god, we still got like 8 people in here. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Taking notes.
Yeah. All right, so check this out. That's the curve it generated, which is honestly not bad. I kind of want to rectify this and actually look at it. So,
Looks like Nicky Romero's Kickstart.
yeah, that is actually one I haven't tested yet.
Dude, so many big house names use it. It doesn't have any non-sync to the rhythm functionality, so it's not really great for non-house or for the floor, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think Kickstart is the same plugin as Volume Shaper, just with less options.
Yeah, exactly. Very much, yeah.
Okay, so that's honestly pretty
Clinton
good.
gang, I gotta get up early for an interview tomorrow, but thank you so much for the knowledge and
Yo, of course. Best of luck to you in your interview. Wishing you
good luck,
success.
man. Crush it.
So, honestly, I think that's pretty fucking spot on. Wait, actually, I need to undo that rectification. I'm sorry, the inversion here. There we go. Yeah.
Which one are you using these days of these gators? Is it a Gatekeeper or Laser or?
I haven't bought Laser yet. I'm still on the trial. I like Laser quite a bit. So I don't know. I'm probably going to get it, but I've held off on getting it because I've been doing these tests with all of them. And I haven't found one perfect solution, but I'll be honest with you, the one that I think I like the most so far is gating. Just with Ableton's gate. And it's taken a lot to get to that point, but I like it for a couple reasons, mostly because I have one complaint, and if I could solve this somehow, I would use it exclusively. But I think maybe LFO tool is probably going to be my way forward. And my number one complaint is that when you sidechain with a gate, you cannot change the angular slope, like this slope here. You can't change that slope angle.
Yeah, your release curvature.
Your release curve, yeah. And that, that's the number one problem, because sometimes your kick doesn't look like that. Sometimes your kick looks like, instead of a logarithm, it looks like an exponential. So, or an inverse log. So that is a thing. And because of that, I feel like that's why plugins like this work really well. So for example, with LFO tool, I did notice some weirdness with LFO tool the other day, though, that I haven't been able to explain. Too far outside the scope of this video here and this kind of time here, but it was just triggering when it wasn't supposed to in a very controlled scenario. It was triggering every time I started the transport, and then it would actually trigger to my impulses and only to the impulses. But every time I started the transport, it would trigger. And I don't know why that was. I'm still yet to figure that out. But it was in a client, it was in a lesson session of somebody's, and I don't know if it was something they had routed to it that I wasn't aware of. But I was very thorough in my search for what was figuring it out, and I still couldn't figure out why. And
yeah, even because there's 3 settings in that bottom left with the MIDI, sometimes those things get switched between 3, and sometimes that fucks me up as well too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to swear by LFO tool for my side chaining until I switched to FabFilter. But again, I was using the pumping mode because I did the same type of shootout but using my ear, so I settled on pumping. But like you said, I still have distortion issues that I might switch back to this and just try to see if it can help me with the mastering process.
Yeah, it's honestly one of those things that I feel like the control is really good, and I've been on the camp super hard on the camp of well, it's not using the actual audio signal, like that's not as accurate. Like, but now after having done these tests, I'm like, okay, well maybe that's not actually necessary. Um, and it's just because of distortion. Like if you want fidelity, which I think we all want, you can't have distortion. So it's just kind of one of those situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I really think that the most benefit lately I've seen is it is probably the cleanest way to sidechain is with using a volume shaper. But a gate is a really close second. And if you could just find a way to control the release curve, then you're kind of there. I'm keep
I
going.
mean, in essence, isn't that what LFO and gatekeeper are, though? At the end of the day, it's essentially a gate with a curvature that you can manipulate.
Yeah, just a manual gate. That's all it is. I keep going back, but I think my Ableton is broken and not letting me undo. But this is a good opportunity to do this other thing, which was to check out where is it? Audio Gritter. Here, this is a really, really dope software. So like Audio Gritter, I'm gonna put on that sub bass there, and let's grab that spectrum too. Delete the channel. So, oh, that's the instrument. Shit. 1 second, guys. Well, I can just use that saw wave. It doesn't have to be anything. Cool. So I've got the saw wave chilling here. I'm going to make that one long annoying sound. But oh, I think I've deleted Audio Gritter accidentally. 1 second. Gritter. Audio Gritter VST. Okay. So, on my Windows PC, I am pulling up a plugin. I'm pulling up a Pro Q3 on my Windows PC. I hope. Let me see. Okay, it's restarting the server here. Okay, so it says it's not connected. It should be connected. Plugin menu. Generic editor. Don't know how I got it to connect the last time. Usually you just start it and it works. I may have to think about this one for a second. It's weird is like the software is actually not showing up like it once did. Up top here. But basically what happens is all you have to do is use this little menu here and you can find like you can type in FabFiddler. You can type in your plugin, you can find your plugin, and it will just open up like a regular VST, but it's living on another computer. Make sure my client is actually active here. Quit Audio Gritter. Audio Gritter server. There we go. All right, so it's opening back up. But yeah, that's a really flippin' cool thing, and that's kind of one step closer to my dream of having Junkie XL's studio, where he has like 6 supercomputers feeding a Cubase session. That is just nuts. He really does. Like he has offloaded his CPU his VST processing to servers that do all of that processing for him. So
That's insane.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do anything. What is happening here with... I don't know why it's not connecting. Loaded chain. Yeah, usually just... maybe it's just user error. That's all it is. my dumb butt can't remember how I actually got it to sync last time, but usually all you do. Well, let me try here. Server name, server ID. Literally, it couldn't have been more simple the first time I used it. All I literally did was open it up on my Windows and then opened it up on my MacBook, and they just talked, and it was that easy. So, it's probably me, like I said. But I don't know why it ain't working. Oh wait. Hang on. That might be it. Y'all are amazing. Got a tip. Have a great night. Oh, dude. Peace, Thomas. And he's out. He was out before I could even say bye. He didn't say goodbye. Okay, well, this thing isn't working like I thought it would. Anyway, it was great when it worked. I think it's probably because I'm streaming and a bunch of other stuff is happening with the internet here. But in any case, that is always really fun. What new plugins have you all been messing with? That's what I want to know, because I want to know what I should be using.
G-Clip.
G-Clip. I just put it on this computer again for this like the 5th time. There it is.
Dude,
I used
best
to-
thing ever. Finally getting rid of those pops and those annoying things.
Yeah.
I used to fuck with G-Clip and K-Clip and stuff, and then the newfangled Saturate now has this detailed preservation mode. It's like a spectral
It's
clip.
so good. Yeah, it's so good. Where's it at? There it is. Yeah, I was messing with this a lot earlier today.
What's that?
This is Newfangled Audio Saturate. It is exactly what G-Clip is practically, but it has a like Missing Links just said, it is a detailed preservation. It's a spectral clipper essentially. It is very sexy. So like for example, if we have what would be a good example here? Let's just use a drum sample of some kind, because it would matter a lot there. Just go for a snare sample here. That'll work. And let's just go here. Boom, boom, boom. And Yep. 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 Yeah. So that spectral, it may not be the best example here, but yeah, it basically will preserve a lot of high-end detail that gets sort of mushed whenever you start squashing things pretty hard into a ceiling like this. When you start rounding things over, like that's what this whole thing represents anyway, it's a transfer curve. So it's a input to output ratio. So like input on the x-axis, output on the y-axis. But if you ignore the bottom half, you can literally think of this as what it will physically do to the waveform as the amplitude increases. So if you run a sine wave through this and you have it shaped like that, super hard clipper, you can literally watch on an oscilloscope the positive quadrant, like the positive quarter of your sine wave will be this shape. So because it's just a basic input to output function. So with the detail preservation, I haven't read too much on the exact details of what they're doing, but it's probably some FFT based spectral clipping. Like, Alex, do you know what exactly they're doing here? Is it FFT or is it something else?
I'm not positive, but it could be. It definitely induces a little bit of latency.
Okay.
So yeah, I have no idea what's actually going on under the hood though.
Let's see. Spectral clipper. No. Detail. Central magic to saturate. Preserves fine detail, allows it to be recovered. Doesn't really tell you a lot, does it? Yeah, I guess I think it's probably an FFT algorithm that will more or less. Well, how much latency is it adding? 800 samples. That's enough. Okay. Yeah, I am willing to bet that it's probably some FFT like Hilbert transform conversion where you basically, maybe not a Hilbert, but it's definitely an FFT conversion where you take the time domain and you convert it to frequency domain and you clip each frequency individually and then convert it back to time domain. That's the magic of the FFT algorithm. It is so good at just jumping back and forth between waveform and frequency and then back to waveform again. So that's probably what they're doing in here. That's my guess anyway. I don't know. I don't really hear any detail being preserved in that, but so that's just a single snare though. Let's put that on a fat drum beat and get an idea for how it responds to like actual data, like actual acoustic data. So, oh my god, I'm so sorry. That was so loud. I forgot that was active. Turn that off of that. Let's go down like this. Oh, okay. I heard it. Listen to the cymbals and like the top part of the fuzzy part of the kick that otherwise is getting crushed right here. Listen to the crush. And then as I turn this up, listen. You hear like the cleanliness of the kick? The kick is not blowing out. That's what that's doing. That's really neat. You can hard clip without blowing out your sound. That's really neat. I can hear it in the high end. It's a
Yeah.
It's very useful, honestly. Like that's pretty honestly, that's about as good as it gets as far as saturation goes. That is really good. I learned another one tonight. Let me see if I can find it. Let me go here. Wait, where's my guitars? Guitars, yeah. So here's a cool guitar idea using Odin. If you don't know about Odin, it's like a guitar synthesizing sampler instrument thing. Jesus Christ, I don't know why that was playing back there, but turn this down. Oh, it's still loading. It's taking a minute. It's loading a lot of stuff. This is the Odin. The Odin is a fantastic guitar instrument. I don't know what else to call it. And when you hear it on its own, it sounds rinky-dink as hell. But whenever you actually use it as a guitar, yes, you would a normal guitar, it's really, really cool. It's having to think a lot about the... it's having to load up a bunch of samples. It is sample-based as far as I understand. But what's cool is it has a lot of articulations. So if you go here to the info tab, like you can control tremoloing. It can like you can make it tap. You can do like pick scrapes. You can control alt pick, like alternate picking, like palm muting. You can trigger all of these modes. Like these are modes that you can activate with key switch MIDI inputs, and then allows you to like just take a listen. Yeah, just take a listen. Sorry, I'm gonna slow that down to like 80 something. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, and so all I'm doing is like that's guitar rig on there. What is happening here? An error when asking. I've never seen this before. An error when seeking the file undo. Okay. Don't undo then. Yeah. So listen to this little. and that's just all like programmed by hand, like and hand wiggles for the the vibrato and all that. Micro bends occasionally. So throw guitar rig on it though. What just happened? My computer's starting to lag. It means it's getting hotter. There you go. Yeah, it's definitely getting hot. But I brought this up because what were we talking about a second ago? It was important.
G clip.
Yeah, let's go back down there. There we go. Yeah, G clip. Well, there was another one that I found. If I can remember the name of it. Tone boost. No, not TB Time Machine. Dude, what is happening? Oh, it's running out of memory. Application memory. Okay, close that. Definitely close. And close that too. Okay. Wow. Interesting. I've never seen this happen midstream before. Let's crash Ableton. That might be what it is. It might just be that Ableton's internal memory is getting too much. Like there's just too much stored in its temporary folders. Okay. Weird. Well then. I guess that's my cue, honestly. I was going to show you this new plugin. It's by Audio Damage. It's called Fuzzbox or something like that. Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello? Did my computer die?
You're here.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, my shit is falling apart for some reason. I'm not really sure what is going on. This is why I'm building this Hackintosh. I need to get off of this little Mac laptop and get onto this crazy desktop that I've got sitting in front of me. Well, I guess that's my cue to hop. Anybody have any like last minute questions or topics of discussion while I'm trying to get my stuff back together? Sounds like not. Okay.
So I don't have any questions.
All right. Well, let me do one last thing here. I'm determined now. Now I've got I gotta make Ableton my mine because like I'm not gonna be defeated that easily. Especially when I'm trying to show off a free plugin that y'all would like. Y'all. Ewans. By the way, did you know that Ewans is a southern term for y'all plus 3? It's like
I've never heard that.
yeah, it's like yuns is what everybody says. Is like, well, like see yuns later. It's like see you all later is what they're trying to say, but they're not. It's a southern thing. Still got a few people hanging.
I had I know some people from South Georgia, and I must say that I prefer the Kentucky and Tennessee Southern accent versus the Southern Georgia accent.
Versus the Southern Georgia accent. I'm not familiar.
It's just a little, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just a little bit more thick.
Yeah. They got the drawl. It's got the drawl to it, right?
Yeah.
Patricia's here. Hi, Patricia.
Oh shit, where are y'all from? By the way.
Michigan here.
Yeah, he's from Michigan. I'm from Tennessee.
I'm from Michigan originally. Denver now, but yeah.
Hey.
Dope.
All right, here's Ableton. Let's go back into this. I am not going to be defeated like that. Not here. Okay, here we go. All right. Let's bust out that guitar riff again because that's what I want to mess with. But anyway, the point is that this VST is free. It's from Audio Damage. I was looking for a fuzz, like a fuzz recreation, like something like a Big Muff pedal, but in a VST form. Because the Big Muff is like, that's every record you've ever heard with a guitar on it probably has a Big Muff pedal somewhere in that record. And I'm filming a lesson on distortion and stuff tomorrow, so I need a really good recreation of this. Check this thing out. Audio Damage Fuzz Plus. That's what it was called. This thing here. Here we go. Back in Ableton there. There we go. And if that's ready to rock, let's. Yes. Okay. Let's get back down to like 90 or so BPM. Yeah, so here it was. Here's with guitar rig. Oh wait, well, you guys have to have audio movers, don't you? That would help. Let's go listen to. Anybody just popping in? Check the pinned messages at the top, and you will have an audio movers link there. And it should, if I set it up the same, you should have no problem just clicking it and it working. Can somebody tell me if you can hear audio?
Yes.
Yep.
Sick. That's awesome. Yeah, so here.
Stick riffs.
Yeah, just like something chunky. And so, okay, let's take off guitar rig, get rid of this EQ that's not doing anything, and let's just use Fuzz Plus and see what happens. Well, that was cool. Pull that back up. Look at that little animation there. That's kind of neat. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna watch my level. All right, so yeah, here's like beforehand. It's not bad, honestly. It's a really good sounding little fuzz. Here, let me put it on the master here. I heard my voice. Here. Let's take it off of. Take guitar rig off of there. It won't ever sound as good as guitar rig, but. I mean, that's as good as free can sound, you know? Whoops. Pretty cool. Very, very worth free. If anybody's interested, Fuzz Plus 3 by Audio Damage. Seems pretty cool.
I forgot I had that and installed it. So
oh, you already have it?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had. I'm a free plug-in sucker.
Yeah, I hear that. I have been lately avoiding anything that I don't need, but you know, the bug bites you sometimes. I still have yet to buy Gullfoss. I saw that they're coming out with a new version though. What was the last thing I had to show and tell? Oh, TB Time Machine. This one's really good for sample rate reduction and for bit reduction. If you want a good free sample reducer and sample rate reduction plugin. So like, let's put, there you go. Really, really cool. And then you've got a bit reduction here. Really, really cool. I used this in one of the new videos I'm filming for the approach that to demonstrate like aliasing, because it's so good at generating. I mean, it goes down to 1,000 point sample rate, which is really, really low. Like even a sine wave, a simple sine wave can, like when you start going high. Wait, I gotta put it on here though. Where's it at? There it is. Yeah, like a simple sine wave that sounds pretty huge, you know? Aliasing has its place, for sure.
That's free.
Yeah, free. Turn up, I want it to alias, so I turn up the aliasing all the way. Oh, also, I didn't realize that the Togu audio line, the Tau plugins had a free vocoder. That was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know that. They're incredible all around. Like their lineup of free shit is stacked. Like, let's get rid of that.
I'm a sucker for pedals.
Yeah, honestly, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would probably go buy a very nice guitar setup with all the pedals you can think of, because I wouldn't.
Dude,
yeah, it just would be so nice.
If you go to Ignite Amps online, they have like free plugin versions of like some sick amps. If you put on your subs, it's just nuts.
Let's check it out.
That's cool.
What's it
I
called?
like the one. It's if you go to like igniteamps.com or what, I think that's the website. If you put it like on Google, it will pop up. There's like
Ignite
a Profit.
amps.
Yeah. There's a Profit and there's a TSB1. That thing is insane. It's just like the sound on it. It's crazy.
Amp Hub.
Yeah, dude, it's like sick. They have like a bunch of free software and plugins of like pedals. Oh, dude, there it is. TSB1. You just like pass the link. Those are like a bunch of different plugins.
Mercurial's got a bunch of really good pedal sims too.
Yeah, I like the purple one. What's it called? The Chorus one. It's the Chorus WS1.
Oh, I know this company. I had this plugin at one point. This is a really cool Pultec emulation. Yeah, I remember this company.
The TSB1 is like probably one of my favorite ones, and the TS999. It's like you can get some like really like
yeah, it's a screamer. Yeah,
screamer just like sick.
Yeah, it's a big clipper. Oh, if it's free. Oh wait, that's Windows. Download.
Yeah, that sub screamer. It's oof. I tried it with my Moog, a Minitor for basses, and it just like makes it like screech and it's like high pitched stuff.
Oh wow, this is crazy. This is a 0 latency 8-channel impulse convolver.
Yeah, they have like crazy stuff.
So you can convolve 8 impulse responses at the same time. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Huh. I forgot about this company. Thank you for reminding me. This thing, I definitely remember this thing. This thing is not bad for free. Huh. All right, everybody, I am about to jump. I still have to build a new computer. So and it's like almost 11:30 here. So I'm going to build a Hackintosh. I mean, no, I'm not, because that's not how you're supposed to use Mac operating system. Because, you know, because I abide by how Apple wants me to use their stuff. And you should too. All right. Well, I love you all. Thank you all for hanging out with me.
Thank you.
Alex Missing Links, I will see you tomorrow.
Yep. Peace.
Peace, everybody. Thank you all for a good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Deuces. I'm gonna head out too. Gotta